We're soaked in blood. The Unabomber blowing up. Waco, Texas, and Heaven's Gates. Aliens modified, meant for apes. Hitler faked his death and then escaped. Bigfoot and the Mothman. Son of Sam talking to dogs again. Witches, ghosts, and goblins. Mysterious noise and hauntings. Dark arts in the skull and bones. Most celebrities are probably cloned. So if you're feeling all alone, crack a beer and get stoned. I welcome you to the podcast Strange Brew. We're here to entertain you. We're here to entertain you.
It's about to get strange.
Welcome, everybody, back to the podcast. I'm Tomcat, aka Tom Thompson, also known as the Raptilian. Make sure to go check out my music on Spotify and YouTube Music, and it says it's on Apple Music, according to DistroKid. But go check that out. If you don't, I'll be very mad at you. We're gonna welcome back a man, the man of the hour, someone that I've missed dearly, and he was captured by the Fae folk. The Fae folk. He was captured by the Fae folk. And he went into the inner circles of the Fae realm for about a month. Technically, the fans won't know this, but we haven't recorded for about 2 months. But welcome back, Irish Aaron. I was like trying to think of a name, and it never pans out.
I was just going to say thanks, everybody, for calling the number on the missing posters and reuniting me with my family.
How was
Spent 2 months lost in the Bermuda Triangle. I'm like Uncle Fester. That's what it was like.
Oh, he got lost. Yeah, I guess that's true. No, my joke was that you got captured by the Fae folk, that you traveled out into the woods and you just stomped on a fairy mound for no apparent reason. You're like, you know, F these fairies. Sorry for everybody. We're trying to keep the 15 minute thing before, to not swear because of YouTube censorship and authoritarianness. But you know, I just feel like, you know, you're stomping on those hills without acknowledging it, you know, maybe being drunk like the Irish usually are. And then the Fae folk captured you. The leprechauns and the fairies brought you down into the realm of the unseen.
It's like I kind of picture it more so like that movie Shrooms. Have you ever seen that?
No, and it's funny. I always see that poster, right? I always see that movie. And I feel like recently I saw it and I was like, that needs to be like a commentary and then a review after for the show.
Yeah.
Because I've never seen it, so it would be very interesting to get my take, considering it's been the longest I've been without them in 2 years. I still have them, but because of the wedding and all the stuff that was going on, I took them when we went away for our mini moon. And then, it's been about 3 weeks now. And I was going to do them today. But then I was like, no, we need to record because Aaron got released by the Fae folk. So we need to start pumping these out again on both sides of our shows. But it's been a while and I need it. I'm craving it because to me, it gives me a massive break. It's crazy because what it does to your mind, your neurons are firing off a million miles a second. But I don't look at my phone when I'm on my psychedelic trip. I just am just chilling and I have my own thoughts, watching movies or whatever, right? And mostly music videos. But it legitimately gives me a break from reality.
Which nowadays is a welcome treat, I think.
Yeah. 100%. I don't have to worry about them pushing World War III on us and all that fun jazz.
That would be a really good commentary, though, I think, because there's a lot of tie-ins there. The movie is set in Ireland. It was made in Ireland.
I didn't know that.
It's about shrooms. Yeah, that's where they are. They're in the Irish woods.
Oh, man. I couldn't imagine tripping balls and then going out into the forest and you think you see something. Because whatever people want to believe, I do believe that elementals could exist. These creatures that maybe take care of nature or exist on a different frequency. There's been times where I've been on mushrooms where I swear someone's standing behind me. And very soon on Class Horrorcast, we'll be diving into American Werewolf in London, one of my favorite films of all time, probably in the next couple weeks, next month or two. And because we got a lot of other stuff that we're going to pump out, that's going to be a lot of fun. But when I watched that, when I was outside tripping balls on some of the strongest mushrooms I've ever taken, and it felt like I was surrounded by a dome, but weirdly, a while later, like it felt like someone was standing behind me, like looking over me, almost like when a teacher's like reading over your shoulder, see what you're doing. Like it was wild.
Freaky.
And then Chelsea was like, "What?" And I was like, "I don't know. It just feels like someone's like standing behind me." And she's like, "That's weird." And I'm like, "I don't know. I feel like I'm tapping into something." Or is it like the idea that I'm tapping into some of these elemental creatures because you're connecting with fungi, which is connected to all nature, technically.
See, I don't know. You're not selling me now when you're saying like shit about people looking over your shoulders and stuff. I'm like,
It's not. You don't perceive it as scary though. There's no fear. That's why, like, when I used to say, like, when we did our Soldiers on Drugs episode, which is now on Patreon. That's why I pushed the Patreon, because there's a lot of stuff on there that people don't realize. Like, there's a couple episodes that you only get on the Patreon. There's Lost Tapes episodes, which are older stuff, and me, Billy, and Justin, when he was a part of the show, just got completely drunk and talked about Soldiers on Drugs. And I was like, how were they doing mushrooms when they were like going into battle, like the Zulu Nation and stuff like that? And the more I do, I kind of get it, because in certain strains there is like no fear. You don't really fear anything unless you put that into your mind in some way. But it's never nothing that's crazy. That one time, I think I told you about that. I said that I was watching God damn, it's gonna bug me now. James Brown. I was watching James Brown, and I was like, that guy's a reptile. And then my TV shut off. And it was like, and it's still playing weird audio through the speaker. And then I was like, what the fuck, man? And I went upstairs and I said to Chelsea, I was like, something weird just happened. I was like, the whole like TV shut off and then it was playing audio. And then when I turned the TV back on, everything was frozen. And I was like, don't do this to me right now. But I wasn't like scared. I was just like, whoa, don't do that. You know?
That's like that like rip in like reality or whatever,
Yeah.
where like the simulation stops for a second.
I think there's things all around us, right? Like I've been trying to get through David Icke's book, The Children of the Matrix. It's thick. Well, I'm reading Howard Zinn's book at the same time about history, so I'm kind of getting like a kind of like very physical read, where it's about the physical reality and what has gone on in our history, and then like a very like out there point of view of the world. And it's been interesting because it's a lot of good information. And what I realized that what David Icke definitely does is back up a lot of the stuff he says. He is constant backing up of like, this is where I found this is why this is accurate. Da, 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 da. But wild, man. And it's been a while since me and Aaron have seen each other. How was the Fae folk? Did you get to have sex with one of their elastic vaginas?
If anybody's seen Midsummer or Midsummer or whatever way you pronounce that, just picture it like that towards the end with the dude and all the chicks.
Everyone's
That's
tiny,
what it was.
but everybody's tiny except for you. I bet you felt big.
Oh yeah, real big.
So funny, because like there's so much stuff that we've talking about doing crossovers and stuff like that. Like Midsommar has to come in the summertime, but there's definitely gonna be big deep dives into certain things near the summertime next year. But we got a lot to talk about. And a lot of stuff going on. So let's get into this episode. This originally was supposed to be kind of around the Halloween time, but every day is Halloween for me. I constantly am reading into the spooky and strange all the time. So that holiday, you could call it. It's not really a holiday, but there should be a day off for Halloween.
Yeah, 100%. It should actually. Yeah.
But if we have a holiday for like Labor Day and all these dumb, like, come on, for Jesus' fake birthday. Come on, let's.
Do you know what's even weirder though about Ireland? Like you guys, they'll actually make a little bit of effort and be like, Labor Day, or I don't know what. There's like ones in the States, like fucking, I don't know, Columbus Day or some shit. Yeah. Over here, we just do. It's really funny. They just call it like a bank holiday. So it's like the Monday is like a day off work. So it makes it like a long weekend, and they don't refer to it as anything. So it's just like, oh yeah, it's the August bank holiday.
Weird.
Like what
we
for what?
Have to have
like, oh no, it just is. It's just a bank holiday for like no reason.
That's funny. Then you have these leftists, especially with Columbus Day. It's like, let's call it Genocide Day. Because like Columbus is a horrible piece of garbage. I never shout this out anymore, but I'm drinking some. Charles got me this pack of like like IPA beers. I like IPAs. I don't really care. And I the one night me and Billy recorded Harp, and I was like so. And then I was like, I was drinking scotch on that one because I was like, I gotta have some scotch for a conspiracy episode. And then I proceeded to drink a bunch of like IPAs, and I woke up the next morning and didn't realize that I only drank half of like each beer because I would drink one, then put it down, then I grabbed another one, and then I was like, I had this memory of like me singing all the fucking Rocky Horror Picture Show songs, and I was like, I said to Chelsea, I was like, did we watch Rocky Horror Picture Show? And then she was like, I don't really remember because she was also drunk. And I was like, we must have. I think I have a distinct memory of me like standing up and like singing and shit. Because like as much as like that movie is progressive, I still love it for what it is. It's not trying to be anything else than what it is. Right. But like I definitely remember singing like the Sword of Democles or whatever and like just being like wasted. And then I realized that we definitely watched that movie and I was like obliterated.
I think I'm gonna go see that live actually in January.
I've seen
Um,
it twice live. No, once or twice. I definitely saw it with my dad. That shit was so funny, dude. I think we're past the 10-minute mark. But it was hilarious because I didn't realize that they had people in the audience yelling out stuff on purpose, right? So, like, I was high out of my tree. Like, I just smoked a whole joint to myself outside and we went in. And then when I started yelling, like, Janet sucks cock and shit, I was like, whoa. And I was like laughing my ass off. I was like, this is sweet, man. So
I am
vulgar.
actually, now that you mentioned beer and whatever, since I've been away in the States, and maybe
Oh
we'll
wait, I
do
was
like
gonna
some
say this
sort of
is
a
8.4%.
Jesus
Yeah,
Christ, you psychotic.
I know. And this one is it says strong. I don't know what.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah, weird. It doesn't even tell you.
The can for anybody who's listening, audio only.
Oh, it's
The
6%.
can, yeah, the can is enough on that one. The colors makes me
Yeah,
think it's like toxic waste.
I know.
Um,
100%.
but yeah, since I've been in the States, it like reignited my love for alcohol.
Yeah, yeah.
So like
Because
I've
you've been
had like
drinking moobs all the time.
yeah, like I was on the moobs diet, and I was just like, I have a real like love hate relationship with alcohol because it's brought me a lot of pain and
Me
caused
too.
me to be an terrible person a lot of times because I would
Yeah, me
just
too.
lose control. So like I've always like the last good few years I've been like always on the fence about like enjoying myself and then crossing over that line again.
Moderation, man.
Yeah, but and I think a lot of it as well has to do with like I've been drinking a lot of beer, which I know I
I
can hear
haven't.
everybody saying right now, oh, beer is so bad for you. But like I've been getting such a good, like fun, happy buzz.
Yeah.
And like it's it's kind of gotten a bit dangerous because it's gotten to the stage where like nearly every day I'm like, I'd like a beer.
See, and
I'd
that's where
like a
you gotta
beer.
watch it. And even with me, right? Like, I've tried to cut it out during the week, mostly because like I'm actually legitimately trying to get healthier and lose weight. I take a bunch of supplements, mostly like mushroom stuff, and make sure I take my vitamins. Like, I think that's important. I take like iodine, which most people don't take all the time, and it can really help your health in numerous ways. So I actively look for supplements. Like I've been collecting all these books. We will get into the topic, people. This is what we do. We shoot the shit for a bit. Me and Aaron haven't seen each other in a while, so you're gonna hear a little bit of banter. But I got this like old medicine book that's from like the '60s. It looks beaten up, and it's cool because it's like all natural medicine stuff. Because you want to look before certain times where it's been manipulated by big pharma or whatever, right? And but the binge drinking is my problem. Like that night where I Billy comes to record, we drink a bit. He drives home. We only have a couple on the show or whatever, and I get a little loose, or I smoke my like weed pen that I like. That's like a sativa, and then after, like if I keep going, like if I'm blacking out and I don't really remember the night, is my issue. Right, where I don't know where to cut that off. As soon as you're like down that line, and Chelsea doesn't like stop me because it'll make it worse. Where I'll just be like, "Fuck off," kind of shit, right? But it is to me, I have to have that limit of like 5 drinks, 6 drinks, something like that, not 10 drinks, because I can tell on my health the next day. Because I like
Yeah.
it happens so often where I, especially with beer, where I'm like, or if I mix stuff, if I stick to like scotch or something, you'd be surprised where I don't feel that bad. Um, or like just vodka. If I drink vodka all night, I'd probably be like not bad as long as I'm not taking shots. But then if you like cross that line of mixing or taking shots, which I love doing because I'm like, I could get a little more pepped up. Then you wake up the next day and I'm not even good till like 4. And then I'm like, I feel finally back to normal. But I'm tired all day, and that's my problem. I'm like, I want to get away from that. And when I have a kid, it's gonna change everything. Right? I'm not gonna be doing shit like that.
You're not gonna have
But
any fun.
I know. No, I've said I'm still gonna be doing mushrooms, but I'll look at the baby like, whoa,
You're
man.
gonna have to give
Feels
up
good.
mushrooms. You're gonna have to give up smoking weed. You're gonna have to give up
Never gonna
alcohol. You're
happen.
gonna have to give up fun. You're gonna have to give up podcasting. You're gonna
Never
have
gonna
to give up
happen.
liking horror movies. You're gonna
Never
have
gonna
to give up
happen.
liking
Chelsea already
anything
knows that she's
vulgar
gonna
or
have to take.
violent.
No, she's gonna have to take care of everything.
You're gonna have to give up all that. You know what's really weird, actually, and I don't know if it's just like a mindset thing or whatever. But when we were in the States for those like 10 days, like I literally went from like drinking moobs all the time because I'm
Yeah.
normally the designated driver for collect this person here, bring this person home, do
Yeah.
this, do that. So like I'm always kind of in that mode. And then to go over there and like, obviously be, taking Ubers ever, so I don't have to worry about it. And like drinking from like, like 10 a.m., drinking beers in the hotel room,
Yeah.
going to Universal,
So
drinking
fun.
like during the day, then
Yeah.
going to Halloween Horror Nights, drinking tequila, drinking cocktails, drinking beer, and like wasn't,
Tequila.
and like I was like drunk, but at
But you
no point
stay
was I
that.
like,
Yeah.
it was weird. Like at no point was I like the way I was on the Halloween special or live show or whatever it was,
Which is now on
or
Patreon, everybody.
anywhere else like that I've ever
Yeah.
been in like a state like that. And like
But
we
it's a
went to
difference. You
SeaWorld.
chugged
Oh,
Jack
yeah.
Daniels. There's a big difference, dude.
I know.
And
Like,
wine.
but even like we went to SeaWorld for their like Halloween thing, and
Why'd you do that,
that
man? They're
that
abusing
was
animals. What are you
that was
doing?
probably, and I don't care who hears me saying this, that was the best night I think we had while we were away.
Did you bring the kid?
No, it was just the two of us.
Then why don't you come to Canada? We could do like a
Dude,
double date thing.
I swear to God, right? The key to happiness if you have kids is to leave them at home and take holidays.
I know. Come to
I will.
communist
That's why
Canada.
I asked before we started recording everybody just to call Tom out. I've said to him about he needs to find out when he gets his vacation time, man, so I can come to Canada.
I know. I know. I've been hooked on a very Canadian show right now. Before we get into it, have you ever seen Kenny versus Spenny?
No.
Dude, I need
For
to
some reason though, that
send
sounds
you.
so Canadian.
You have to watch. I'm gonna send you. It's all free on YouTube, 4K. Like it's a show where two best friends compete against each other, and the one always cheats. You're gonna laugh your ass off because these dudes are like, it's so funny because one is so like, just pushes the other dude too far. Like they do stuff like who can keep a shit in their pants the longest. The one is who
Wow.
can keep an octopus on their head the longest, but then the one guy, Kenny, doses Spenny with acid to make him think that the ink from the octopus is like causing him to hallucinate, and he keeps it on the entire time while he's tripping balls, dude. One of the greatest shows to ever exist in Canadian history, in my opinion. And we were watching, they had an episode, we're gonna bring it full circle soon, but like an episode, Who Could Be the Biggest Idiot. It was originally Who Could Be the Biggest Retard. And they didn't even let them air it and stuff like that. And I was like, I always watched the episode because I had all the DVDs, and they would push it to the limit. So now we've been watching the commentaries of Kenny specifically and one of the producers talk about it, and it's crazy what they were allowed to get away with. And nowadays, it's like everything's like, it hurt my feelings, you know.
I was just thinking there, you mentioned a second ago, you have a weed pen, right?
Yeah. All the
That's
time.
not one of those disposable ones, is it?
No, this has been by far my favorite strain so far. It's a peach one, but it's like actually a sativa. There's many ones that gets you like ripped, but like this is actually something that keeps me awake and doesn't get me too messed up.
We went into I can't remember the name of the
Did you
place,
go
but it
to
was
a
like one of those,
dispensary?
fuck it, no, but it was like a oxygen bar, right?
Yeah,
And I had seen it, and I was so fatigued after a couple of days in. I was like, Jesus Christ, I can't take this anymore. I feel like I'm about to die all the time, just from all the walking, the heat,
yeah.
jet lag. So
Full
we go
anxiety.
in, and like I'm asking to do it, and of course, me being me, the usual, like I can't just go in somewhere, ask a question, and leave it. I have to go
Yeah.
all in. So like the next thing I know, I'm lying in this like aqua massage machine.
Yeah, yeah.
And like he's giving me the whole thing, and he's like, "Yeah, try that." Then like I'm sitting at the bar, and he has like the shit up my nostrils and like around the back of my head. And he's like,
I
"Yo,"
didn't never been to one of those.
he's
I
like,
don't
"I'll
even
turn on
understand.
all these things." He's like, "Do you want vitamin B12?" I was like, "Give me it all, give me everything." So he's like, "Turn everything on." Now I will say, right, I felt maybe it was just like placebo, but I was like,
Yeah.
"Whoa, I feel amazing." Then
I
he's like,
feel incredible, man.
I said something about like, I was like, "Oh, I thought smoking weed was legal in Florida," and he's like, "No, no." And then he busts out all these like weed pens and all. So then
Oh,
he has
cool.
me with those as well, and I'm like, we were literally like, I would say after probably about 4 or 5 hours, I just turned to the side, and like my girl was like, "You said we were coming in here for like 10 minutes. It's
That's
been the
crazy.
entire day," and I'm sitting there going like, "Woo, I'm having so much fun. This is the best day ever."
See, that's what it was like in Toronto. They had vape lounges. Somehow they were like legal, where you could go to Toronto and you can go like rent a bong. One of the best. It's gross because they clean them, but it's disgusting now in retrospect. But the best bong I've ever hit was called a Roar bong, and they had it, and it was like the smoothest, clean it. Like it was like such a clean hit, and you just get ripped, and then you walk around Toronto. And they were able to do it before it was like legalized or whatever. Now that's legal. I don't know what they're spraying on it and stuff, which scares the shit out of me. But like, it's such a difference now. Like, did you see that video I posted of the vaporizer I got? You can drink the smoke. And then I did it with my buddy Bill, this old dude that's chill as fuck. Gave us a bunch of weed for our wedding. Stuff he grew. He calls it the uh-oh. And then
That's a
on the
pretty good
Halloween,
present.
and then on the Halloween special, Billy, I went to take a pee, and then Billy took over the show, and I was like, all right. And then I sat down and smoked that shit, and I was like out of my tree. Like I was like on the ground, like just I can't even like I was so high, and I couldn't even like focus on what Billy was saying. And then he kept messing up, and I was like, I told you, man. You chose to take the seat, man. You better fulfill your duty. You know?
So that's
But
why that dude calls it the uh-oh.
yeah, he's like, it'll fuck you up. So welcome everybody. You know, this is I wanted to do a little bit of banter because we haven't talked to Aaron in a while. He's been doing some fun stuff, and like at some point soon, we probably will do a big fun Patreon like special where we'll just shoot the show for like an hour and really get into nitty gritty, uncensored thoughts about stuff in the world and what you've been up to. I want to hear more about your trip because it sounds like a lot of fun. But you know, most of us, you know, we know about basically two ways of saying goodbye to the dead. You know, cremation and burial. Out of those two, just out of question before I ask you at the end what you would pick. What would you pick out of cremation or burial at this point in your life?
I had always said burial,
Yeah.
um, but I don't know. The older I'm getting, I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm dead. Just cremate me and then
Yeah. I'm the same way, but I want to go out Viking style.
put me out of my misery. Just
I
burn
want
me.
my body to be on a boat. It's funny. Chelsea told that to her dad. I was like, I just want to be pushed out in the fucking, and then you fire like arrows at me, and to see who fucking hits it. This is like light me on fire.
That I live in a Viking town, so this town was founded by Vikings.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, so they raped and pillaged
Yep. Pretty
Irish
much.
people.
Yeah, and then burnt our entire town to the ground and took it over.
So yeah, predictable, right?
Pretty cool.
White people, man. So we will dig a little deeper, though. You may be surprised to know about some strange and creative, straight up strange ass funerals that different cultures around the world practice, from offering their bodies to vultures to beating the corpse to a pulp. There's some crazy ways to dispose of a dead body. This might get me hate a little bit, but do you know who? Do you know what country? It's like in quotations has the biggest skin bank?
Nope.
It like where they take people's skin. Can you
Never.
guess?
I've never even heard of a skin bank.
So you know how like they have like people want organs and stuff like that. People also need skin, for skin grafts and all sorts of stuff. Can you and also other things. And when you understand what I'm talking about, can you guess?
Um, it's not the obvious, and it's the States, is it?
No,
Um, the UK.
Israel.
Wow.
And when you think about what choppy chop 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 You know what they do
It
to
just
the
got
foreskin.
it just got shit tons of them hanging from the ceiling.
So gross, but there is a foreskin cream, so it's not out of the ordinary. They promoted on Ellen, that monster of a Jeffrey Epstein Island chick. But like, yeah, according to this documentary I was like looking at, and they they use it, and mostly without people's knowledge, and specifically with soldiers too. Once they're dead, they actually like skin them and take their skin to be used for like grafts or whatever else is they're being used for, because people need human body parts to survive and
You know
keep
what,
people
right?
alive.
I think if I needed skin grafts or anything like that, or in any of those situations, the last place I would want to be getting something like that is fucking Israel.
I know, 100%. Well, it's just wait, because we have some stuff to talk about eventually that will not be specifically on YouTube, but you'll see a bit of it. I have a lot of ideas for the show, and like I've said, I don't trust either side of what's going on in the world. I never will. I never have. And I don't trust the mainstream media what they're telling us. But, the right wingers are going a little crazy. And then the left wingers are going a little crazy. And everyone's a little fucking crazy right now. Calm your shit and realize who's orchestrating everything around the world, Yeah, I always say that. Imagine these huge protests. Thousands of people, if they realize that they're all wanting the same thing, everyone wants peace, love, respect, and to own a house and have children and live their life out and in peace and happiness. It could change the world if people realized how much the power is in our hands if we would just come together and hold hands. Like commercial, all like black, white, and indigenous people like holding hands across the world. Hands across America.
But do you
Wherever.
know what it is, right? We're led to believe that like we're the minority. So, for example, like the two of us are, 30-something-year-old white guys.
Yeah.
Whether we're from different parts of the world is kind of irrelevant with a
Yeah.
similar thought pattern. So, like, we're that minority, and it's like, okay, it's this minority and that minority, but we're actually the majority, just people, just the general population.
Human.
Like,
There is only one race, the human race. Very
and like
true.
it is kind of wild when you really think about it. It's actually quite frustrating that we can't just go, you know what, actually, fuck this. Let's just do something about it.
There's brainwashing and conditioning. I was gonna let's just get into this. I want to say one thing. There is a video of a lady, and she's like, her eyes bulging out of her fucking head, and she's like claiming that she's had inflammation and all these strokes and stuff like that. And then her and everyone in the comments are blaming on COVID. And I was like, no, I'm going to do a video on it because I saved it, because I'm like, I want to respond to this. No, it's probably the shit that you injected into yourself, a medical experiment that was forced upon the public. But like the comments and the people, they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, COVID's been tough, da-da-da. What are you talking about, man? What are you talking about? I don't even know if I caught COVID. I don't even know if it even exists the way they think it does, or if it's some sort of flu virus. Mm-hmm. I got sick, as far as my knowledge, around Christmas for about a week, and it was the sickest I've been for a while, where it was just like a real flu. Like I felt like I was a kid, where I was like, this sucks. My sniffling nose and I have a fever. But I survived and I was fine. And I didn't get tested or anything. And these people that are so polarized to focus on like, this is what did this to me. What? That's so weird, man. Viruses existed forever, dude.
That's the weird thing. It's like you don't have COVID unless you test for COVID.
Yeah, so strange.
So it's like it's a really bizarre thing. Actually, I know we're getting into this now. Are we going to talk about I don't know like what you have down in your notes, but have you got down like I guess your traditional idea of like a Canadian burial or funeral?
Oh, we know what we do, right? We build like a big like a big thing of sticks, right? It's a bunch of sticks, right? You get a bunch of sticks, you like bring it up, right? And then you put it yourself into like, you kind of build like a dam, right? On the river. And then you put your body on there, and then the beavers come in and they're like, they all fucking eat your body.
For a second there, you have to
pour maple syrup. You have to pour maple syrup all over your body, and the beavers come in, and then the blue jays just kind of peck out your eyes. That's a
There was
Canadian.
a split second there where I was like, wait a second, mate, is he actually telling me something that actually
We
happened?
just do the
Or
basic bullshit. But really, like, if you're gonna go full out Canadian, it'd be like hockey players beat the living shit out of your corpse until you can put sticks on top of it, and then the
no,
beavers come in and eat your corpse.
no, right? No, but I'm actually being like genuine. So like, what's a really quick breakdown, I guess, of
Typically,
okay, so God forbid somebody in your family dies
yeah.
tomorrow. What's the process?
We throw them off a cliff. I'm just kidding.
Cool.
We mostly it is either the same old as the states and a lot of other places in the world, where it's either like an open coffin or a closed coffin, and then people come in, and then you have the family lined up, and then they're like, you're like, sorry for your loss. This is awkward. As you go through. And considering the dude next door just died, it was kind of the same thing. He got cremated, but I've also Chelsea's grandmother, which most of my family got cremated. Um, but Chelsea's grandmother was an open casket, and it was like she looked like a wax statue. It didn't even look like her. It's freaky looking. And then you go by and you like you say your condolences and stuff like that I was gonna say the victims, but I was like, everyone's a victim now. The family members of the deceased, and then it's basically like that. And then you was like, at the one I was just at, they like these two people did some weird church like song, and it was so weird. It was like, Lord Jesus, and just like singing and stuff, and everyone's just like tearing up, crying or whatever. More or less like that. Or you like, I've been to funerals where people like have a drink, and like when I die, what I would like is, I want to be thrown out of a plane in a Superman costume. So then people will be like, oh shit, fat Superman just fucking forgot how to fly. That's what a joke is as a teenager. But like, I just want people to drink and celebrate. Right? Everyone thinks it's weird when people like laugh at funerals or like looking over at you, being like, why are you laughing? It's like, I want my life celebrated for what I've done. And hopefully now with all this stuff, my kids can listen to me talk. And I'm putting it all on 1 terabyte drive, all the episodes. And eventually I have another one I'm going to do for the video aspect. And my, kids can hear me.
Hello,
talk about-
Tom's kids, kids,
Yeah,
kids.
yeah.
It's
Talk
us.
about
We're
that.
from the past.
So we've talked about the Irish traditions, at least some of them where people like drink and toast whiskey or whatever. But I definitely know there's that one where the guy's the speaker in his coffin, where it's supposed to be like comedy.
He's a fucking. That
so
was
funny.
that's an Irish traveler. That's what that was. Where he's going like, hello, hello.
It's so funny because we're watching the challenge. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. It's a show that's reality, but they battle against each other. It's one of the best challenge shows to exist. And one of these like gay dudes that are on it, he was an Irish. He kept saying he's like, I'm Irish gypsy, and I was like, that motherfucker's a traveler. And then Chelsea's like, what? And I was like, a traveler. Like, it's like the same thing as a gypsy or whatever. And then he says he's a traveler, like gypsy technically. And I was like, me and Aaron did a whole episode about that. That's on Patreon right now.
Now I would refer to them like I was telling you. I worked on that haunt in a place,
Yeah.
not far from here recently, and on the final night, the Saturday before Halloween, the busiest night.
Oh, the
So
travelers
many,
came out?
so many tickets sold and everything, and the fucking Tinkers ruined it.
It's if you just like missed a beat, it could sound way worse.
The 60 between 60 and 80 Tinkers showed
No
up
way, really?
and like basically just ruined the entire event. I was dressed up actually that night because they were short of people.
Yeah.
So I had dressed up. Actually,
love
I need
doing
to. I'll try and find a photograph.
We'll do
I
a
had
Patreon episode.
the bloody face mask from
Yeah.
American Horror Story, and I had a chainsaw, like an actual chainsaw, and they tried to steal it from me in the middle of like the
Wow.
restaurant area.
Yeah.
So like I had to go and like lock everything away and get changed and basically do security for the night because they just ruined the entire event.
Of course they did. They don't know how to behave because they've never behaved.
Animals.
Yes.
No, it was just the reason I
This is
asked about traditional funerals was because and I wasn't sure. I wanted to see if you would say it. Like over here we have that, like you mentioned, open casket and stuff. We call it a wake.
Yeah, we
So
did
like
same thing. We copied you.
yeah, like where the body would come to the house in the casket,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like it could be
Some people
there.
do that.
Yeah, like it all depends on, I guess, the family and stuff. But like the body could be left there for like
A
2,
week.
3 days a week. It all depends on the family. And like the family just sit there and kind of look at it, and people just come in and go like, hmm,
Nice. He's dead.
okay, cool.
Kid
That
pretends to
looks like a
jerk him
wax
off.
version of that
Like,
person.
so fucked up. See everything, like especially after I've had like a very strong beer and I have another one again about to be on the go. Is there's so many things that like I think about when I comes to my show and your show that I want to do. House of Wax has to be done for a deep dive.
I love
Great
that
movie. As
movie
much as
so
like
much.
so good for what it is, and for fucking Paris Hilton being in it, great movie. All right, so let's get into this. Also, there were I see it. There was know what I want to do. And sorry,
Can I
people,
also have him
we haven't
behind
seen
me?
each other in so fucking long. The Vincent mask got sick. It's such a good slasher film for what it is. You know what I want to do, which I think we need to do, which would be an awesome episode. It's technically not really horror. A Clockwork Orange,
Oh yeah,
dude, would be such a good deep dive. There's so much information about that movie and the way they push the boundaries. It's
we need to
wild.
dress up in those
Oh,
weird fucking
dude, when I went my last Halloween, dude. Actually, it's not my technically my last. I did go out when I was 16, and me and my friend tried to attempt to get candy, and we did. But most people were like, "I can." Actually, no. So it's another lie. It's another lie. Me and Chelsea did go out when I was 18, and the guy was like, "I can see your scruff," because I had a beard, and I was wearing a mask, but he could see my beard through it. And I was like, "Man, I'm just trying to get some." We were drunk, and we just went around like the neighborhood of where I live, and I was like, "Man, I can get some free fucking candy." And even though we could probably buy our own, but I dressed up like Alex from Clockwork Orange when I was about 13, and I went with all these kids that just wanted to get high and didn't actually want to participate in Halloween. Where I was like, I dressed up and they all laughed at me, like, "What the fuck are you wearing?" Because they obviously never saw the movie. And I was like, I hung out with these kids because they gave me free weed, and I did a good, like, full on the whole costume, and I didn't really get to use it. And then some girl that didn't like me chased me down, tried to like kick me in the nuts because I had the jock on, and that wasn't fun.
So we definitely need to do that then.
So fun, man. One of my favorite films, even though it's kind of rapey, it's fucked, dude. I saw that shit when I was fucking 13, man.
Yeah, I
All right,
remember being like really afraid of that actually.
really young. So let's get into this. So in the Miami region of Papua New Guinea, these red corpses hang from a cliff is a death ritual that preserves the body. The locals smoke them and string them up and hang them on the face cliff. This is the ways the body can look down and protect the village. Isn't that crazy? I did think
Like,
I thought I had an image.
think
of this.
about how wild.
Look at this shit,
that
man.
is.
Look at that. Isn't that wild? Why would you do that? Just like, let's just hang bodies in coffins from the hilltops and just fucking so I can watch over everything.
I mean, it's. I don't know. Like, I often see things like this, and I suppose we have no context because we've never really been exposed to that in like a physical form. Like, someone could show me something like that, and I go, "Oh, that's crazy."
Yeah.
But imagine actually being somewhere where that's like normal.
Oh, yeah, no, that's not the image that I was thinking it is. I don't know if I could show the image. That's from one coming up very, very soon. But that's crazy because it says these red corpses hang from a cliff and they preserve the bodies. The locals smoke them like they smoke pork, I guess. And then they string them up, which is wild to be like there. And when we start diving, eventually I want to dive into like the Dead Sea Scrolls and stuff like that, and the Tibetan Book of the Dead, which I have both, but I want to read through them. It is not gonna lie, the Egyptian Book of the Dead is kind of dry. It's just the way it's written, obviously, is thousands of years ago, but it's not as exciting as you think it would. The Tibetan Book of the Dead is actually fairly interesting compared to that, but I want to read through both. I got some really cool copies of these books. Actually, my mom got it for me, and I want to get into stuff like that. But like, it's just the interesting idea that everyone's always thought that they need to preserve death. You know what I mean? And like get people ready for the afterlife. Like Egyptians spent most of their life, especially for the pharaohs and stuff, getting them ready for their death. Most of their life,
Yeah, yeah. It's a really weird concept, like the whole idea of like dying and being dead, and even like I said, things like waking a body out at the house. Like I've been in those situations, and thankfully it hasn't been anyone like super, super, super
Yeah.
close to me. But like I look at the person, and like you said, the best way I can compare it is like a wax figure.
Yeah,
But
it's
I'm
not
like
real,
looking
dude.
at it, and I'm like, where are they, or what? Like, are they experiencing anything right now, or do they like know this is going on, like from like somewhere else, or like what? It's just such a
I know.
bizarre. It's like you were alive, and
Thank
now
God
you're
for
dead.
StreamYard. You know what I just realized? We both didn't
Neither of us are
record.
recording.
Yes.
And
But
I started recording about 4 minutes after we started the episode.
I haven't recorded at all. So we'll take it off from StreamYard. So if people are wondering why the audio is a little strange, that's why. But it should sound pretty crispy. And that's been pretty good. We're excited to see each other. It's been so long and just fucking goes off without a hitch. Not really. So endocannibalism. In the Amazon rainforest, the Yanomami tribe, whatever, I'm just going to Yanomami tribe prepared a corpse, for eating so that the soul could go to paradise. When a loved one dies, they wrap the corpse in leaves and allow the bugs to indulge. A little over a month later, the bones are made into banana soup for everybody. And a little over a year later, the ashes are mixed into a plantain soup. That is crazy.
I mean that.
Have you ever, at some point, I want to get into cannibalistic tribes and lost tribes. We did it way back in the day. That'll eventually come out on Patreon. It's gone from the main platforms, but eventually I have plans to put it on Patreon. There's a lot of Lost Tapes episodes. Like, I'm not even joking. There's probably over 50 episodes that have been X'd from the show.
Oh wow, that many?
Yeah, 40 to 50 probably, maybe 30. Yeah, but I feel like it's been a lot. Just from when we started, and I was like, oh, do we need to say that? But for the fans that truly enjoy the show, they will be on Patreon. Like, and the thing is, I think it's necessary. Where I'm even going to release some of the episodes that me and Justin did. Some people will never see or hear. But at the beginning, we were just getting plastered, and there was no really censorship in the way that there is
Yeah,
today, and it's not the same kind of thing.
you were being very bold.
Yeah. What do you think of banana soup?
Not much.
Have you
Have
ever
you
tried
ever
banana
heard
soup?
of? Have you ever heard of sausage soup?
Like blood sausage?
Yeah, like a sausage, like in some form of water or something
No,
being
that sounds
boiled.
disgusting. I've never
Yeah, and
tried it
then
at least.
so I had a he would have been like my, I guess, great uncle, if you could call him anything. And
Oh, so he wasn't that great, eh?
no, and he was like typical, I think, like old school Irish guy.
Yeah.
Um, kind of up until he died in like the early 2000s, dressed like he was in Darby O'Gill and the Little People.
So that's funny. I haven't seen that show in a long
Um,
time.
kind of with that like checkered like
Yeah.
jacket and all that kind of shit. And like he would always go to this little small like traditional Irish pub and like drink every day and like be shit faced
Is
every
he the one
day.
you're telling me about that like touched you in the night, when you're
No, that's not
going to
him. That's
bed?
the other one.
Just kidding, everyone.
And yeah, he used to like he would come in like fucking out of his mind drunk, and he would just get whatever he had in the kitchen. So like he
Yeah.
would put like bacon, sausages, anything like that, and put it all in a pot, and then fill it with water and just boil it.
Ew, man.
I know, right? He died of throat cancer.
That's fucked. Did you
I
smoke
know.
cigarettes?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's probably why.
Cigarettes, alcohol, and then that really cool sounding diet.
That's fucked up, man.
Yeah, he'd put like potato in it. He just put anything, whatever
It's
was there.
just
He just put it
crazy
on.
what people will do to try to survive while they're like inebriated, like
Yeah, it's
most
like,
of
oh,
their
this is a
life.
really good idea.
So crazy. So burial beads. Many people in South Korea opt to compress the remains of the dead person into gem-like beads in different colors, which are then displayed at the home. I actually kind of dig that. Um, I don't know. There's something about that. Like, just, if Chelsea died and I could have some beads of her made of her remains, I feel like I'd be into that shit.
Where would you put said beads?
I nothing. I would I would use them as anal beads.
That's the minute you said burial beads, I was like, huh.
I thought I had a picture of them, but I guess I don't. This is like a real thing, too.
It doesn't matter anymore now because everybody listening is just picturing anal beads.
It's true. Imagine putting like, imagine you're a wild guy, man. You're like a swinger, and you like have your grandma's remains and beads, and then Jeffrey comes over with his wife, and then he finds them, and he's like, "Check out these anal beads I just shoved up my ass." And he's like shaking around like it's a tail, and it's like your grandma's remains in those beads. I hope everyone
spooky,
loves
all
those.
right. Can you get
pictures.
am I right in saying that if somebody gets cremated now, you can you make like a jewelry or some shit out of
Yes.
the ashes or something? So I remember
Yeah, you
seeing
can. You
everybody
could.
doing it.
Yeah, we might get into it, but I think that's kind of cool, though.
Yeah, yeah.
Realistically, like I think that's cool. Like I have both my grandparents in a jar, and the crazy thing is, in the jar, it's not just ashes. There's like little fragments of bones, and we don't know what to do with them. But what I've wanted to do, but it wouldn't be enough to fill it. Actually, I could get a small one. But like the Crystal Skull vodka.
Yeah, yeah.
I wanted to put them in that, but then there's not enough, or
To
surprisingly,
yeah.
to fill it. But you can get like the smaller versions, like the Mickey bottles or whatever. I know what Mickey is in your language, but like
Haha, Mickey.
it's just
In
a
my
very
language.
it's just a very small bottle of liquor. It would be cool to like have them in like a skull. Be like, this is my grandparents' ashes. I snort it every Friday. Eventually, they'll just disappear into my nose.
I just my language.
So this is the one I was showing earlier. About 4 centuries ago, the Bo people of China's Sichuan province hung these wooden tombs from cliffs. It is unknown whether the intention of the suspended burials was kept to keep the coffin out of reach from animals or to be within reach of the gods. An ancient death ritual, these tombs are approaching 3,000 years old. So nobody's disturbed them. That shit is wild, man. Isn't that crazy?
Why?
I know. Because that's what they believe, man. Why do we fucking bury people in the
Yeah,
ground?
that's true. That is true. And that's like anybody I like know of has
Yeah.
been buried, and that's like a really big thing here. I don't know if that's like more so in Ireland, but I feel like way more people get buried versus cremated.
Realistically, yeah, more and more people are getting cremated nowadays. But there's like, I think there's like a religious kind of belief of being buried where they don't want to burn your remains because then people are going to be afraid that like what your body's going to be a bunch of ash in the afterlife. Like I don't understand that. But there's funerals everywhere. There's a funeral down the street that me and Billy recorded at and used the Ouija board, and then told us to die, but then Billy said that he wrote that on purpose. And I was like, I don't know if I trust you, man. You look pretty scared in that moment, dude. But it takes a
Thanks,
lot.
Billy. Cool guy.
It takes a lot to provoke the dead, right? It takes a while, usually with Ouija boards and stuff like that. And we were outside, and it was like this time. It was like November. It actually looks nice out right now. But it was like cold, and we were like freezing. There was snow on the ground. We're trying to use the Ouija board while our hands are drying up into brittle while we're trying to do it. And I feel like either Billy moved it or I don't know. He's manipulating me, but we didn't get much answers. But like I said, man, why would you find ghosts in a fucking in a cemetery? Why wouldn't they go to where they were most like, or if I was
why would
dead
you be
and I
there?
woke up in a fucking cemetery, I go to the nearest house and be like, "Do you have beer, man?" And then when I realized that I was dead, I'd just haunt them. Look into the fucking 18-year-old daughter's room at night. Some fun stuff.
I'd be, you know what I'd be like?
though.
And I always pictured it being like this, would be like Kevin Bacon in fucking Hollow Man.
Oh, I know. Sucking on a titty.
I know technically like that's an invisible man theory, but I was like, you know what? If I come back as some kind of spirit, I'm gonna be badass like
Dude,
Kevin Bacon.
we need to do that movie. I saw that movie way too young. Younger than I should have watched it.
That movie
titty
is
scene
I
came out.
watched that only recently, and
Still good
It
because it's a good
still holds up.
dissection movie.
It still holds up.
It's a good movie to dissect and be like, what would be the repercussions? What would you do? Even the new Invisible Man was pretty good, but the idea
Yeah,
of
it
like
was.
what people would do if they were invisible, I'd do some shady ass stuff. I'd have a bunch of
I
ideas.
can't lie, but I right now I'm not even going to finish what like exactly what I would do,
Mhm.
but just have a quick think. Everybody listening, if you were invisible for a day, think of the first thing you would do. That's what I would do.
I was like gonna say it. I was like, don't need to. Yeah, there. I don't know, man. The idea of like being a ghost haunting someone seems a lot of fun though. Like I feel like I'd want to stay in purgatory for like a little bit just to like fuck with people, but
You'd be
that
like that. I think I made this joke before about something, but you'd be like that tit-headed dude in Little Nicky.
put a bra on my head. I'll be like the Bigfoot, that just wants to squeeze. Just wants a little
So
squeeze,
you'll just
Jake.
be the tit-headed guy. Just I can just picture you being stuck down there. Just
Like, God damn it, why am I here, man? I couldn't they overpowered me when he's like he realizes that it's like I've probably it's weird because I probably watched Little Nicky like 3 times in the past like 2 months. It's something
such a good
I
movie.
go to when I'm drunk and it's still funny. Release the evil. And he's like,
So
it's so
good, man.
dumb. The painting features a sati ceremony where a woman follows her husband onto the funeral pyre. Now banned in India, sati is a funeral ritual wherein a new widow immolates herself. I must be burns, but burns herself also. Also called a widow burning. Sati was intended to show the sacrifice of a true wife, though this Hindu ritual is now illegal and considered violence against women. Give me a break, man. Immolates. I don't know. I've never seen that word before. That's interesting. But essentially, so your wife is so devoted to you that once you die, she just like they just burn her alive because she wants to meet you in the afterlife. Honestly, I'd be very happy if Chelsea did that.
Would you?
Yeah. Like, come on, join me. Okay, if we didn't have kids, if we have a kid, stay alive for the kid. But if I'm like 85 and our kids are grown, they have kids, and she's also like 85 because we're like around the same age. Yeah, come join me in the funeral of hearts and a note for cruelty when love is a gun separating me from you. I think that's the lyrics. Did you ever listen to him?
Yeah, you need to clip that out and just put that up on social media.
I know I was gonna do that with that Hawthorne Heights thing I did, and I never remembered to do that. If you listen to him,
Yeah, I nearly went for the generic
Heart Crib,
BAM. Yeah, like I was like so close to that being my first
How
ever
are we
tattoo.
like? It's crazy for all the like audio listeners and stuff like that. For everyone that's a fan of this show, like it is bizarre how much me and Aaron are like replicas of each other, just look different, and the way we think, what we like. Like when I mention him to people, they're like, "What?" Like they don't even understand what it is. But like, and I blare it at work sometimes, and I'm like, "Man, I probably sound like such a fruit." It's love metal, you know.
Dude, I used to fucking play that shit so much
I
to the
still
point
have
where
it.
I actually got burnt out, and I haven't listened to that in so long. I might actually start.
All that
Um,
music I still have on my playlist, like Atreyu and all this emo shit.
Same, and I just never listened to it. I need to actually put that on again.
Oh, I've been jiving that stuff for a while, and it is crazy because like that whole music is like the idea of like, well, I'm gonna leave the earth for you because if you leave the earth, if you hurt my heart, I'm gonna off myself and I'll come meet you in the afterlife, shit like that, right?
I mean, if someone could somehow prove to me that that was the case, I would have no issue with it then. Yeah, I'd be down for that.
Even do you know Silverstein Smashed into Pieces? You know that song? That song came on at work, and I was like, just laughing my ass off at the idea. It's just like the whole thing is he wants to like I'm gonna douse myself with gasoline to die because of her, because of a girl. He just wants to like off himself for a woman.
Have you
The
ever
whole
listened
line where
to?
he's like, it's I'd rather die than have to see your smile. You know,
I
like that's so
you just
gay, bro.
you just reminded me of something really funny I seen yesterday, and it's probably been on the internet for like 25 years now at this stage, but I saw it on TikTok the other day, and it was somebody's dog, and they had put like a black emo fringe on it,
Oh, so funny.
and like it had basically something like what you just sang there in
Yeah.
that like weird emo voice playing. And like the camera pans in the background, so at first you can't really see what's going on, and then it pans around the couch, and then like the dog just looks across and he has like this black fringe across.
Yeah.
It's so
Dude,
funny looking.
it's crazy how many people like there's not many people as much as they used to, but I saw one kid like try and debate Ben Shapiro. I think Ben Shapiro is not a cool guy. I think he's like propagated by bullshit. But like the kid was like kept doing this and like moving his hair out of his eyes, and I was like, man, if you only knew when that was actually popular, if you were around back then, man, you would have been the talk of the town. Chicks would have loved you. And like, and it's funny because obviously this is, to me, where I broke this down, it's kind of a free-for-all fun type of episode with how I wanted to do it or whatever. But like, I found some of my emo pictures. And I said we have to do a Patreon episode where we both show each other pictures of when we were younger, and this is gonna happen at some point, and talk about that whole decade of being emo. I want to do it, and then I want to cut clips from it to put on like our social media so people can see it. Because I have all these pictures of me when I was young, where I want to do like a post of like the young Tomcat.
Jesus,
Because, listen, my dad made a fucking joke at the wedding, okay? Like, everyone at the wedding called me a conspiracy theorist. Everybody. Every fucking speech. I'm going to post Billy's speech for everybody that's listening or watching right now, and I'm going to post it because it's funny. His girlfriend, Robin, took a video of him doing a speech, and it was funny. He talked about, like, how I forgot about this. I used to take, like, soaked wet buns when we started working at some chalets as a dishwasher. He was like 16, and I used to whip fucking soaking wet buns at him, and I forgot about that. Didn't know I did that. Or like they would go rock hard, and I just whip him at the back of his fucking like the dish pit, so it would like crack, and like it was such a loud sound. And then he is like, oh, he used to whip soaked buns at me, but he said it would always be worse if it was a reptilian. He's the only one that mentioned the reptilians. But people were like laughing. Chelsea's dad called me a conspiracy theorist, and then my dad does this speech. And he brings up when I got suspended. I kept getting suspended for wearing makeup in like grade 7 or whatever, where I would wear like eyeliner and makeup, but it would be like up to my eyebrows. So they wouldn't let you do that. They wouldn't even let girls do it. So I kept doing it. And then my dad was like, I said that we identified as clowns. He did make a joke about what if our religion was we were clowns, to the principal that wore tight ass leather pants. And which was very funny. And my dad brought that up, and I had to be like, I was very emo. Okay, I'm not a transsexual. I didn't say that, but I'd say I was very emo, because I'm like, he's like, technically he was progressive, and I'm like, don't say that. That's not what I was. I would love my music.
people can pick that up the wrong way.
I know, 100%. It was just very funny. And then somebody laughed, a bunch of people laughed because I was able to say fuck Trudeau. Jimmy, Chelsea's stepdad, is like the what do you call it, the MC or whatever, the master of ceremonies. And then he's like, those sweaters he always wears. And I was like, yeah, fuck Trudeau. And a bunch of people were like, man, I'm glad you said that. I was like, yeah, there's like 100 people I could say fuck Trudeau to. Crazy. It was a wild time, dude. And we'll have to do a Patreon episode for everybody listening to just shoot the shit kind of thing. This is one of my favorites of all time, for sure. A sexual Viking funeral. Sexy. A ship carrying a corpse is set on fire to ease the process of getting the body to the realm of the dead. A Norse funeral for local leaders also features sexual rites. Within, a slave girl would have sex with every man in the village and then would be strangled to death with a rope and then stabbed by the matriarch of the village, obviously the guy in charge. And then her body would then join the chieftain on the burning ship.
I mean, sounds pretty cool for the guys. Seems like a waste of fucking boats, though. How many boats did these people have?
I don't know. Well, they had the slaves making them.
You make that, and then I'm
All
gonna
the
have sex with you,
Irish.
and I'm gonna kill you.
You know? Isn't that okay? By far, that's probably that was one I told Billy like an episode or two ago, like, or when people hear this, they're like, oh, that's the one you're talking about. I thought it was the idea of like that. I thought when you died that your wife had to have sex with the whole village or whatever. That's what I kind of remembered. And then Billy was like, no, I don't like that. And I was like, yeah, but it's a slave girl that has to. So I die. And then like everyone gets fucked in the village. So it's like there's some horny guy being like, man, I've got laid in like a year. And he's like, I'm gonna kill the chief so I can get laid.
Will someone fucking die? Yeah, but them chicks must have been absolutely ran through.
Oh, ew, if you're the last guy, man, like that must have been like I'm trying to think of something extremely gross and I can't even think of it. I thought about old spaghetti noodles and I was like, that's not even close, like a hole.
Like, oh,
Like think about think about if even like, you know, you think about how jello and how fragile it is. Like 3 guys fuck a bowl of jello. But this is like 20, 30, 40. How many guys are in that village? Just like ramming that shit. Everyone that is a male listening to this has watched some fucked up porno movie. Maybe females too, but like, you know, I feel like if you haven't watched a gangbang, you're not truly living. But we all know that it looks like an old piece of bread that has just been fucking smashed into a billion pieces, like a PB&J sandwich just opened up.
for some reason, I picture the scene of Tiny eating the cereal,
Oh yeah, ew. He's like
and
slurping it.
yeah, but and there's like all like the milk and shit is all, and like
Ew.
his mouth is all like gaped open.
Yeah, gross. That's a good visual.
That's
Thank you.
probably, and the sound effects that makes as well is probably what it would sound like when you're going at her after like, 65 dudes have ran through her, especially some of those
Ew.
big, huge Viking
know.
motherfuckers.
They probably get cocks down on their knees, bro. And it's just like Jesus. And then you're the last guy, but you have the smallest dick, and you're like, well.
Yours is like a fucking toothpick.
And you're like, I killed the chief for this. I got the.
Yeah, and I would imagine it probably goes in like pecking order as well. So it's
Yeah.
like all the
Biggest,
big like
strongest warrior.
yeah, like the badass dudes get her first, and then like all like the fucking
Tear her open.
mongoloids like me are left at the end going.
Just give me the mouth. It hasn't been touched yet. I'll get the ear canal. Jesus, I thought this would get fucked up. This one is weird. There's 2 mourning losses that fellow Dani. It's DNAI. It's like Dani tribe member by cutting off their fingers in Papua, Indonesia. It's not the same as Papua New Guinea, but they copied the name Papa. These people used to amputate their fingers at funerals to express their sorrow by smearing their faces in clay and ashes. Though it is now banned, it's hard to find an elderly Dani female who has 5 real fingers. Is that messed up? So most of them have, if you see an elderly Dani tribe member, especially like a female specifically, because it seems to always be females that have to go through this horrendous shit, most of them will not have full fingers.
What?
Think about it. So every time somebody dies in this village, okay, you have to cut off a tip of your finger to feel the pain and sorrow. Are you looking it up? Because I found images of it, but I couldn't. Oh, here we go. See? Some of them look at the stumpies. I purposely blanked out. I had to blank out the titties.
I was just going to ask. I was like, did you do that really cool Photoshop?
Yeah. Okay. Listen to me. Look at these. I'm sorry. Look at these women, man. They look like they were beaten by the ugly brew about 7 times. They look like Denzel. No, they look like Morgan Freeman if he was 250. Is that bad? Because it does look like that. Look at.
I'm looking at the chick on the left that doesn't have her pepperonis out.
Yeah.
And she looks like one of those. That sounds so bad. Like I can't even say it actually because I was gonna say it looks like there's a really famous like black character actor that I can't remember his name, but he's in like everything,
Yeah, yeah.
and she looks exactly like him.
It is the idea, okay, that obviously like women in tribalistic communities most times have been ran through because they're trying to like, there's a train run on 'em, as
Blah.
the expression goes, because they have to have as much kids to keep the tribe going, because the more kids you have, the more people you have to help with labor and foraging food and all that stuff, especially within like African tribes that don't have anything, right? And it's nothing to do with racism, as everyone wants to fucking claim. It's the idea of where these people live and they're cut off from communication and technology, so they have to do things for survival. But yeah, it's because these women were probably having kids until they were like old enough until they started dying. Like, this is what
They're
happens.
like, and like, whew, they look worse for wear.
They do. It's not good. Um, I'm not gonna pronounce this because it's in Madagascar, but I'll try. Fama da Ahania. Fama da Ahania. That's like the best I'm gonna do. I didn't even add it into the thing, but I put it in the brackets. So once every 7 years, the Madagascar people, that's where they call them that, of Madagascar, exhumed the bodies of loved ones, wrapped them in cloth, and danced with their corpse sacks. It probably smells pretty bad, so they spray it with these weird smells pretty. So they spray it with some sort of shit. Weird. That's so weird, man. Oh, and then they make them into totem poles eventually. Crazy. Oh, I think this. Yeah. So they put people in bags. Crazy. Look how many dead people there are in that photo. In bags, wrapped in bags, and then they will dance with the corpse, being like, "Yeah." Is that wild?
Like people are just so fucking like I've often seen, and it
My
mightn't even
bad. The
be
totem pole was on the next thing. I messed up. But they sprayed them with some sort of spray that I cut off by accident, and while they're dancing with them.
like it mightn't even specifically be in relation to this, but like when you see some of these countries and just some of the wild shit they do, and it's just so fucking bizarre. Like it's so weird.
Look how many people are there. This is only cut out of part of a picture. There's like hundreds of people there for what the people that have died in the last like week, or like probably a week. Like, and then so they're celebrating these deaths in this country. But it'd just be funny if there was like DJ music, like, and they're like everyone's vibing out, just like crowd surfing these like dead bodies. Wouldn't that be fun?
It's like it was just the idea that it's dead bodies. I'm like, oof.
Just dance around
Like
with dead bodies. You don't do that.
that shit's gotta fucking stink and just be like gross.
I'm sorry for the
Especially
audience, but everything I think I want to talk about our show, especially what?
especially I can't imagine they have like the procedures that we would have in like
Oh,
first
like,
world countries like we live in.
to like exhume the body and to do like embalming fluid and stuff like that, so they don't
Yeah,
stink
like
and
to
stuff.
just make it like just like a piece of wax, so there's like no
Yeah,
stink or it doesn't like decompose all hideous straight away or anything.
dude, something we have to do that I just watched recently because Chelsea's never seen the full thing. Beetlejuice, man.
Wow, she'd never seen the full thing.
No, such a great movie. I watched it when I was like really high and like decent. Like I was high and
Such a
drunk.
good
It was
movie.
such a good movie.
I would love to dress up as Beetlejuice for like a Halloween special or something, but do it like properly.
Yeah.
Like have the full like shit.
Yeah, and you guys speak like vulgar as hell. Like,
That'd be so fun to do.
slap your jacket. There's like fucking dust coming out and shit. I'll be
Such a
that.
good
I'll
movie.
be that African guy. I'll put
Do,
blackface on it. I'll like sprinkle dust on your head so it shrinks.
do you think that Beetlejuice 2 is gonna end up being like Hocus Pocus 2 was?
Probably. I
Yeah.
think they'll ruin it with some woke ass bullshit, and it's gonna destroy it. And everyone's like watching this trailer of like Jenna Ortega, and it's like fake, thinking it's real.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. Jazz burials in New Orleans. New Orleans. Do you know that song by the Animals? Do you know what song
I
I'm talking
don't.
about? What?
I don't think I do.
You don't know the Animals, bro.
Either I haven't a clue or you're like,
The House of the Rising Sun.
oh yeah, of course I do. Yeah,
House of the Rising Sun. New Orleans. You don't know? You know how he
yeah, I
says
do. Yeah,
New Orleans?
there is a house in New Orleans. They call it Rising Sun.
Yeah, but he says New Orleans.
Yeah, the only
Stupid
reason
dad.
I know
Ellie
that
didn't
is
believe me,
because
but
did you ever hear of a band called Muse?
yeah, I used to like Muse when I was an emo kid.
Oh, dude, I love Muse still. I went to see them live a couple of times.
It's
That's
been a
how
while.
I first heard that song because they done a cover of it.
Oh, boo. They have it in 4K now, and I was like, they all look like babies. What happened? Like the what's his name, the lead singer, man? They
Matt
all look like
Bellamy,
babies. Yeah, crazy.
he's he's freaky though.
No, I mean the animals.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like it's just bizarre the different time era, right? And they're all probably very young, like in their early 20s, or if not like a little younger. And just like, what a different time to exist. Even like the Beatles and stuff, right? Peace and love, like, yeah, you're really changing shit while you're like doing acid and not doing anything. Being a bunch of hypocrites. So, with a big horn, band culture at the heart of New Orleans, it's not surprised that they play music even in death. The funeral procession is led by a big horn band.
I also have a big horn.
You also have a big horn? What type of music does it play? Ah, skeet, 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 ah, skeet, skeet, skeet.
I was trying to think of something funny there. Do you understand what my reference is, though, or is that not a thing in?
Do you
Is
call
it
your
America you
penis
live
a
in?
horn?
Do you live in America? Where
No,
is
I
it you
live in the
live?
land that doesn't really exist because it's not real.
It's America, is it? The
No.
States.
Canada. Canada
All
doesn't
right.
exist though. We're
Is that
owned
not
by
all the
Britain.
same thing? No.
Yeah, it will be one day when we sign the trilateral commission's fucking bullshit, and we'll all be one country.
Yeah, no, over here, like that's like a thing where you call it like, oh, I had some horn on me.
Like a whore,
Horn.
like a dick.
Yeah, like a dick. Like if you were getting a boner over something.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, now not everybody, but like in some of the like slang, like dudes would be like, I had some horn.
Weird.
Yeah, it's fucking
You say
strange.
boner,
Erection.
stiffy, erection.
I had an
So
erection.
So there's famous like this a horn. They have a horn band playing, which plays a sad tune at first, followed by an upbeat jazz and blues number accompanied by furious dancing, which means that people must go out of their way, dancing their fucking like just freaking out, man. Dun, 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 dun. And it's like, it's having a good time.
I just picture, because I associate horn with the whole boner thing, I just picture a lot of gay dudes in like G strings or completely nude with like all those Mardi Gras beads on them.
Yeah.
Or like with the whistles like Terry Crews in fucking White Chicks.
It's so crazy because if a white guy did that, it'd be so racist. But it's one of the fun. It's a very funny movie. I fucking love that shit. This one's wild. A totem pole stands erect. Speaking of penises, in honor of a warrior, shaman, or chief, and the Hadi people. It's Haida. I don't know where that is. They're Indian, of course. East Indian, I'm sure, in some regard. We're Indian over there, not Indian over here. But they would fit it. So if you were a Hadi Indian, this would fit your description. Your body would be listen to this. Your body would be beaten with clubs, so that it could fit in a tiny wooden box. The box then would be, listen to this, then the box would be put in a fucking mortuary like totem pole in front of the dead person's home. So, and then the family would tell stories. So listen, they would put you in a totem pole and they would beat the living shit out of you. So your body is like thin enough to like fit inside of the totem pole.
I don't know why, right? And I know it's like not supposed to be, but like the idea of that and how you describe that sounds hilarious to me. The idea of a dead body and like several people with clubs and bats just like beating it to a pulp till it's like all mushy, and then
It
just
sounds
like
like
trying
a
to
scary
squeeze it.
movie trope, like something that Scary Movie has done. It's just like, oh, he's dead now. And then just like fucking Barry Bonds comes in with his baseball bat and he's just like smacking his shit. And you're fucking like, that's wild, man. That's one of the weirdest ones I like. I've had a bunch of fucking weird shit, but the fact that like people would beat the living shit out of your corpse, like beat it so your bones are like dust. How much would it take though to like beat the like? How much would it take to beat a dead body where the bones are decrepit enough where you could just kind of shove it into a box and then put it into a totem pole, and then get this, your family's like, Thomas, you see, he was a good guy. He's in there. We beat the living shit out. We literally beat the living shit out of him so he could fit inside it, but he's there. And you know what? He was a good guy. And they just like tell stories about you.
I've got to imagine like it would take an extremely long beating and an extreme amount of force to like mash a body to the point where you could like squeeze it into one of those. Also,
Yeah.
is there any sort of like protective measures that like your meat sack wouldn't be like dripping all out of that shit and like
Ew.
stinking the place up?
Or like you touch it and probably not. They probably got real sick afterwards.
Yeah, like what I was gonna say was like, so that body is like
I thought
squeezed
you
inside
were
the
gonna.
totem pole.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say it would probably reek and be outside of your like house for a while if you like it was like your brother or mom or some shit. But I thought you were gonna say like, how is there measures to make sure that you're dead? Because what if you just like were concussed and you like passed out and nobody like really like this is some backwood country in India or some shit. I don't know where this place is. And then like they like are beating the shit out of you and you wake up during like I'm alive and your like bones are all broken.
Yeah, like do you start at like the feet or the legs and just start smashing them to see does the person like react?
Have you ever seen Freddy Got Fingered?
Yeah.
Where his girlfriend is barefoot, like she has no feeling in their legs. Gets her, and that's what turns her on is smacking the shit out of her legs.
I haven't seen that in so long.
Such a fucked up movie, man. Tom Green is the first podcaster, man. He killed that shit. He was the first person to really create what we're doing today. Really. And now he's doing it again. He lives in the middle of nowhere in Canada. And he's figured out now where he's like done like an episode or two where he's like in the boonies. Like in the middle, he said he's in the middle of fucking nowhere. In some like fucking barn. Obviously
sounds like my kind of guy.
I know. I kind of like that shit. This one's crazy. Lay out your dead. This is the Tower of Silence. Everyone shut the fuck up. Where the corpses are left out to be eaten by vultures. Before being brought there, the Zoroastrian were obsessed with obsessively they would clean the body, washing it with water and bull urine. So just in case this guy is real dirty, and are only allowed to be touched by professional corpse bearers. So many people allowed to touch the corpse in the Zoroastrian traditions, which weirdly a lot of occultist people believe in that realm of beliefs because it's very old, which I feel like eventually we'll get to on the show. They see the bodies as being terribly corrupt and risk of being attacked by demons, so they're like obsessed with like cleaning it, and they leave it out to be eaten away. Nice, eh?
So that sounds very similar to...
That's what I was gonna say. I was like, this kind of brings it into what you were gonna talk about.
Sounds very, very similar to...
you know what?
To that whole...
I'm not. I have to pee so bad. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pee right now.
While I talk about this?
Yes, I'm going to do it on the show. I'm just going to piss in this can.
Okay, so just so everybody knows while I'm talking right now, it's to drown out the noise of Tom pissing into a can he just drank from.
I don't know if you'll hear it, though. I'm going to do it. Alex did this once on the show. I might as well do it. Okay, keep talking. You won't hear it. Don't worry.
No, damn. I'm trying to listen to see can I actually hear it. See how funny it is. Okay, so sky burials or celestial burials, as they are also called.
This is the first for the podcast, other than Alex.
Are the burial rites of choice for the Tibetans. After a member of the community has died, the body is cut into pieces by a burial master and is taken to a selected site, usually in the area of high elevation. This is because the corpse is then supposed to be eaten by vultures, who tend to congregate at higher altitudes. After the vultures have consumed the body, the belief is that they take the body away to heavens, where the soul of the deceased person remains until they are ready for their next reincarnation. This practice is believed to have been practiced as many as 11,000 years ago, but there is little to
That's
no
wild.
written evidence or physical evidence due to the fact that the remains are ingested by vultures or other animals. For Tibetans, the sky burial serves both practical and spiritual functions. Often the ground is frozen, making it difficult to dig graves, making sky burials an appealing alternative. Many of the central values of the Tibetan culture revolve around being humble, generous, and honoring nature. Sky burials allow physical bodies of Tibetans to be returned to the earth in a way that generously provides a meal to the vultures and very minimally disturbs the earth. Because of their belief in reincarnation, death is seen as more of a transition as opposed to an ending. They believe the soul moves on from the body at the very instant of death, leaving very little room for attachment to the physical body. In fact, in order for the soul of the person to have an easy transition into their next life, the Tibetans believe that there should be no trace left of the physical body after death, providing another advantage of this practice. And I just, out of the corner of my eye, I feel like I seen you swinging the can full of piss around.
And one little drop went onto my computer, and I could see it.
Nice.
It's
Nice.
okay, whatever. This is the funniest shit ever. Whatever. It's all fine, man. So funny. This is literally Alex did this, Billy's buddy, on our Halloween special where he couldn't hold it anymore, and he did it under the table while we were filming, which shows all of us, which was really hard to achieve. And I was like, I want to piss, but I can't ruin this episode. Aaron's, it's probably like 9 o'clock there. So I wanted to just get it done, and I did it. But man, if you're a man out there, if you're a woman, you're probably be like, wow, man. But like, I peed in this little hole. I had to press my penis head right against just to, and I'm like, am I gonna cut myself? This is not the one with beer in it. This is almost empty.
So that's the one you just pissed.
Yeah. Be crazy.
You
if I
did.
took
You
that
did
beer,
actually. You did actually lift that can up. Don't say I pissed in this can, and then drank from it.
It's warm.
Blah.
Can't believe I did that, but why not, man? This is what we are. We are Strange Brew, and I didn't want to leave, man. Didn't want to leave you.
Look, I can't say anything. Whilst I haven't done it, I don't think on a podcast. I remember years ago when I used to do a lot of PC game, and I used to play DayZ a lot, like
I don't know
12
what
hours
that
a
is.
day, like a big fucking
I don't know what that is.
fat, scary mongoloid. And I was that obsessed with the game and being online with the other dudes on the server. So basically, you would spawn into a map, and it was all like real life. You had to eat. You couldn't get your clothes wet. You would die of hypothermia. All this shit, right?
Whoa. Yeah,
And we all used to play it together, but there was no like there was no pause or anything. You were just in the game, and then if you logged out, your character would stay on the map for like 3 minutes. So if someone discovered you, they could just kill you and take everything.
okay.
So like I used to do that constantly. I would be like, drinking cans and stuff, and then I would like piss in them.
Piss balls over fucking.
Oh
room.
yeah, just piss all
It's
over
crazy
me.
because I
Shit
can't
my
remember
pants.
the last time I did that was in a car, right? We were on a trip. And you're like, I gotta fucking pee, man. But I'm like, you know what? Keep.
I don't believe you,
alive.
Tom. I don't even think you use the toilet. I think you just piss in cans and stuff and leave them all over the
I'd
house.
love to do. I'd love to have like. I'm just gonna shove a fucking. I couldn't do this because
A
anytime
catheter or whatever it is.
Yeah, fucking. Christ, man. I keep dropping this fucking delicious weed pen, man. It's probably
I
my
keep
favorite
dropping this can of piss.
It's like It's like if you must watch Trailer Park Boys.
Mm-hmm.
Where he pisses in the jugs, the piss jugs Ray has in his fucking the dump. That it's like Ricky got me this great place. He lives in the fucking trailer in the dump, and there's just like piss jugs everywhere. He's like, he's been trucking. I can't do a bubble. So how long he's been trucking for, and then so he's got used to peeing in like fucking jugs.
I need you and Chelsea this weekend to watch that show that I told you about ages ago called The In-Betweeners.
I love that show.
You've seen it, the English show. Oh,
Yeah.
dude, I don't know if you've seen all the episodes, but the one where they go to London clubbing.
Yeah, I have.
And
one of my favorite movies is the first one. For a
Neil,
comedy.
the big tall guy, he's pissing in a can.
Yeah,
and he cuts the top of his dick in the can, and he's like screaming.
I feel like I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and like
over
the other dude that always tells the lies, he's like looking at it, and he's like, "Oh, just look, please, just look." And then like the the bouncers walk in, and he's like
Oh,
looking
yeah,
at his
yeah.
dick,
I
and it's like
remember
covered in
that.
piss and blood, and he's like, "Get out."
Yeah, I remember that. That's funny because at some point we'll have to like talk about that show. That by far is like an out there obscure. Reminds me of
Yeah,
Canadian comedy, which is adopted from British comedy. Essentially, it's so good. The movies,
there's
man. That scene where they go in the club
and
and
they're
they're all like
dancing.
dancing and they're
So
like
good.
trying to like flirt with the girls, but they have like no game.
It's like that empty dance floor, and they
Yeah.
dance from like the bar the entire way
Why? You
across.
guys like think this is impressive, bro?
There's another show actually. We should maybe watch a couple of episodes of it at some time, or maybe do something where we could watch it with people
Yeah.
because they're like really short format, like 20 minutes, 25 minutes an episode. It's called
Yeah.
Inside Number Nine.
Never heard that.
Dude, I'm telling you, look it up after this. I guarantee you will love this show.
Okay, I got an idea, okay? Let's just not spoil this, you know, because it's meant to be kind of like a fun episode because I haven't seen it a bit. Let's the first time you watch Kenny versus Spenny, because I feel like I'll get you hooked on it. Let's watch it together for either Patreon or the main show on YouTube, because I feel like Kenny Hotz would let me get away with it. Even if I talk to him, I could probably maybe get him on the show. But if I talk to him and be like, yo, we want to do a commentary on your show, because my Irish friend has never seen it. He's Canadian. He's chill with the fans. They do live shows in Toronto and like around America even, which is crazy. And he doesn't even understand how the show blew up this much. We should do that.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
I wait because I'll find a very good episode to start you off
Okay.
with. It's
Yeah.
fuck, dude. They do this shit like who can stay blindfold the longest, and then the one Kenny tricks the other guy, Spenny, which is always like gets angry and the loser that he's actually blind, so he keeps fucking with him, but then he like finds ways to cheat to convince him to take off his blindfold before he does, and even though in the footage he already did. He convinces him that he did. So as long as he gets him to do the humiliation, is his gloat for winning, right? It's so good.
Yeah, no,
dude.
I'll stay away from it. I won't watch it until we
Yeah,
figure
we have to
something
get
out.
your first impression because it's quite hilarious. So this is one I thought was fun. This would be my kind of thing. Is the Russian vodka. Right. So Russian vodka, dill pickles, and rye bread is left out for the deceased at a party. Don't know why. Sounds like they're real poor. Russian Orthodox churches would ring the bell to gather the villages to a funeral, followed by a series of services and dinner parties for 9 days, according to at 9 days. And then what? This is crazy. So 9 days after I'm dead, if I was Russian in this Orthodox town or whatever, right? They're like, ding, 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 ding. And then, everyone has a fucking party. Okay. Then 40 days after the person dies, the black bread is meant to reserve the Russian tradition of breaking the black bread upon meeting a new person. So that must be a tradition, and obviously Russians love vodka, and the pickle thing I don't understand. Maybe they shove it up their asses, but they like take a shot when they eat some bread. As a tradition for when they meet. So, but then they party on the 9th day that you're dead, and then they also party on the 40th day.
Weird.
Isn't that weird?
Russians are mental.
Have you ever met one?
Yeah, there's a good few of them that like live in the town here now that have like
Russians
become.
grab my friend's balls, man.
Russians are scary.
I know. Do you know? For all the fans, you know this by now. That shadow people experience I had started when Russians grabbed my friend Mike's balls.
I remember when you telling me that I would have thought that I would have been more unsettled by the shadow people thing, but I actually think I was more unsettled by the fact that to me sounded like the start of like a Hostel movie or something.
It was those dudes were
Like
fucking weird,
that
man.
that had potential for you guys to be tied up somewhere.
We joked about what they had in like their suitcases and shit. Like as a joke, it was like 3 Russian dudes that like look like they were fairly like you could say fit like for their age, like in their 40s, probably 50s at that age, 50s, but like not yoked, but like fit, and them like walking past me. I was wearing a bandana. I'm 19 years old. I'm a skinny buck, I'm like fucking doing drugs. Who knows what I was doing back then? And they like rub my head and they're like, "You crazy Canadians." And they like rub my head. I remember specifically that one time we're watching a show. I was like drinking like pure vodka at this point. Like we're just like, I'm young. We're on a resort. And I have a picture that I'll post on Instagram eventually when I'm my younger self. There's a picture of us at Cuba. And he rubs the top of my head and it was just the weirdest shit, man. I don't know. There's some weird, like I could feel it that they were like interested by us, like young boys or whatever, right?
Like when you were explaining that to me before, I kept having visions of, the scene in Hostel on the train where the dude is eating that ham salad.
Yeah, yeah.
Remember, and he's like shaking and shit, and they're like, "Do you need a fork there, buddy?" And he's going like,
Yeah.
"No, I prefer." And he's like shoving it in his mouth and shit. And then
Yeah.
remember, doesn't he grab the dude's leg?
Oh
And
yeah,
yeah, and
yeah.
the guy is like, "Get the fuck!"
They make fun of it in Euro Trip, I think.
It's like that's what I was kind of picturing when you told me that story. I was like, that
It's
really like
creepy.
not to even try and like make it funny or like a bit, but like it does actually kind of sound like that if you guys had have hung around in that situation for too long, that it could have
Yeah, yeah.
been pretty
Oh yeah,
spooky.
yeah. That's what Cuba felt like to me. My cousin went back to Cuba. I've said this story before, right? And that he went off the resort with this guy, and they try to do this like to me, not take me off the resort, but they'd be like, I blare my speaker and my music, and this one guy came out. His name is Yuri, and some black dude, and some Cuban guy, but he was black, like with dreads and shit. And he was like, "Oh, I love DMX. Suck my dick." And I was like, "Cool, cool, man. That's nice." But he was like super cool. But he had one long nail for like snorting coke, obviously. And it was just such a bizarre experience. And then one guy gave me his brand new iPhone so he could take my shitty nano iPod and then put my music onto his computer. But he said that there was a block. He gave me back my iPod, and I trusted it because he gave me his new iPhone. I was like, whatever. If he wants to take my Nano, I'll take this shit home. And then we switched, and he's like, I couldn't do it because there was in Cuba, whatever. There's an encryption that he couldn't break through. So I was like,
So wild,
I
like so
know. And then
weird,
so
man.
my cousin went back, and he said they went off the resort with his. It might have been with Neil, but I think it was with his other buddy that I know these dudes like personally, and they went out the resort and they went to this guy. They thought he was super chill, and he was like, "My cousin's very open and doesn't really care. He takes risks." And then so he goes, whatever. And then they're eating, and he's like, "They offered me this very small meal." And then he shows him a picture of this young girl and said, "That's my 14-year-old niece." He's like, "How much? How much?" Yeah, and they got the fuck out of there. But yeah, the guy was offering up his niece. And people do this in Muslim countries too, like well, Arabic countries. Happens all the time. Offer up your like daughter or your kid and be like, "How much? Can I get like money from you?" Crazy, eh?
It's fucking. I don't know, that shit is spooky to me. That sounds like a
Wait till
fucking.
we talk about Hostel on your show, man. I feel like that's gonna be a 2 hour episode.
That sounds like I don't know if you've seen Infinity Pool.
Yeah,
Um,
I actually really liked it.
yeah, it reminds me of that whole idea where it's like, let's go off
Dude,
the
I'm like
resort,
rubbing
and
my
it'll be
neck because I'm
like,
like nervous.
it's like it'll be fun. Let's go off the resort and do a lot of crazy wild shit.
Dude, you suggested that movie and it's wild.
It's and you know what? Actually, when you
Mia
mentioned
Goth
Cuba,
turns me on but scares me at the same time.
yeah, it's that weird allure of like I feel like drawn in, but at the same time, it's like I'm willing to risk being stabbed to death.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I didn't realize though when you mentioned Cuba and like resorts and stuff. Is it Aruba is like notorious for like tourists like leaving the resorts and like going missing and shit,
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of places like that, Brazil.
which is fucking
But they don't have
scary.
as much resorts in Brazil. But Brazil is known for like people like if you leave your designated area, it's like you'll get messed up. There's a lot of places. Like, I'm sure Cuba's the same way, man. In certain locations, they're gonna hide the deaths, and it's funny because that got a lot of downloads. People love that shit. Our Strange Vacations episode, people are fascinated by that stuff. So this one's weird. This is the Ben Guit of the northwestern Philippines. Blindfold their dead and place them next to the main entrance of the house. Obviously, the person that's died. To make them look like they're alive still. And these people of the Philippines dress the bodies in their best clothes and sit them in a chair and place a cigarette on their lips. We're showing an image of a supposedly a real one, and they dress him in their like goofy ass like, ooh, we'll give you a little fun knitted headdress and shit, and like with a bunch of flowers around you. Isn't that wild, man?
Fucking dumb.
So crazy.
Oh god, that's so
Um,
stupid.
so I was gonna end it. I feel like this would be an episode on its own. I feel like, but I was gonna mention like the Day of the Dead. You know, D Les Mortes. The Day of the Dead obviously is a celebration of death, where people wear death skull masks and stuff in Mexico. But I wanted to kind of end on this. Would be kind of fun. How would you like your? What would you like to happen to your dead body? There's a couple of options nowadays. Do you want to know?
Yeah, go for it.
So, at the outdoor labs of the University of Tennessee and Texas State University, researchers always have a great need for human cadavers. This is a place where groups of students learn about the rate of decomposing corpses to make a biological environment germinated special plant varieties. So, I think the idea is they look at your corpse, right? You know, they look at it and they like study it, and then they put you in a tree. They like plant your body.
Yeah, no, I'm good for that.
No?
I'm good for that. I don't. People say, "Oh, it's for science, man. It's for the." Nah, I don't care.
Oh, we're not there yet.
I don't care. I'll be dead, so I don't care what happens with science. To be honest with you.
Oh man, there's some cool ones. Just wait, man. There also, this is pretty cool. This is the one I've been down for. I would love my main one. If I were to choose and I could actually like choose and have like money towards it, make me a fucking mummy. I want to be wrapped in a bunch of shit, put me in an expensive sarcophagus, and then just display me in your home. But just don't open it because I'll stink. But like, just leave that shit at like.
Yeah, I want to be in like one of those big, massive sarcophagus, like fucking Imhotep in the Mummy,
Yeah, I know.
in a
Something
big
I want to
fucking
do. I'm
giant.
trying to convince
Like,
Chelsea to watch that movie with me recently, and she was like, hates
oh
Brendan
my
Fraser.
god, dude, it is
So good.
so good.
I know.
I love
I
that
like
movie.
the movie The Pyramid just for that shit. Just for
I
the
know, right?
idea of
And
like,
that has fucking
I know,
Jay
Buddy
from the
The In-Between.
In-Betweeners.
Jay's my
So
favorite character.
fucking cringy.
So you would be a mummy.
Yeah, I would probably be a mummy. I actually, here's a question. I don't know if you guys have it there. You know, when you get a driver's license, do they
Yeah.
ask you, do you want to be an organ donor?
Yeah. They never asked me, but I would say no. I'm sorry as that is to people who are like, but my cousin could have used your organ. I don't know, man. I don't
Fuck
know.
your cousin.
Yeah. Just like
Yeah,
the
no,
same way.
I also declined to be
I'm
an
not
organ
doing it.
donor because and I just get out of it when anyone says to me, like, oh my God, that's terrible. Like, there could be somebody that really needs that. It's life saving. I'm like, you don't want anything that's inside of me.
No. Well, me, that's funny because me neither. But if it was someone I knew and they're like, can you give up a kidney? And it was someone I really cared about to keep them alive, yeah, I'd probably do that. But to some poor schlub, I don't know, while they probably taken a bunch of pharmaceutical medicines to keep them alive their entire life because they got addicted to some sort of shit, no.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Sorry.
I'm good.
So you're probably caught up with obviously the familiar image of the ancient Egyptian pharaohs. The thing is now there's no longer there's not like just a privilege for ancient Egyptian pharaohs. You know, there's it's called the Sumam Company, SUMMUM Sumamim. Company will embalm your dead body or pet and place it inside of an empty statue, similar to the ancient forms of embalming. Of course, with this luxurious nature of this method, the embalming cost is not small when it comes to it. It is $67,000 USD.
Yeah, I want to go the whole hog with it though. And I'm going to butcher
This is
probably
This is a real one.
the pronunciation or whatever, but I want it like the way it was back then, where like
Where they pull out your brain, they scoop your brain out.
yeah, and then they have what is it, like the canopic jars or canopic jars or whatever it is.
Oh yeah.
And they put your organs, like stuff your organs down into all them, so they have like all these cool little jars, and then have me in a big badass sarcophagus.
Yeah, that'd be fucked up. Oh yeah, we
And
mentioned the diamonds thing. They do turn your bodies
oh,
into
that was
diamonds.
it. Yeah, that was it. And also, actually, if you're gonna put me in a mummy thing, right? I want you to wrap me up perfectly like a mummy or whatever. But then I
Yeah.
want you to cut a piece of the head thing away and leave my decomposing face sticking out like Imhotep.
Yeah.
So like with like no lip and like exposed like bones and shit.
I want my sarcophagus made, but I want it to be like where you can see my rigor mortis.
Yeah,
Get it? So I'm stiff all the time, baby.
cool. You've got a
Which is
horn.
if you've seen Clerks, right?
I have, of
The chick
course.
at the end fucks the dead body, thinking it's Dante, and it's like a dead guy. So fucked up. So or would you like to be like they can put you into the seafloor into so if you die, you can be around fish all the time if you love the
Nah.
ocean. And your cremation would be mixed into the environment where in a friendly cast. So this is what it could look like.
Yeah, nah. Boring.
Yeah, so you're in the bottom of the ocean, not my ting. How about we can shoot your fucking shit in outer space? Part of your ashes will have the opportunity to explore the specular space of the universe, thanks to the idea of space traveler. After dying, thanks to satellite, so there's certain satellite. This service is expected to be released in November 2015. So this article is obviously written a while ago. If this is your choice, congratulations. Your ashes will stay in the universe for a long time because the orbit of this satellite is estimated to last from 5 weeks to several hundred years. We don't really know because we don't know if the Earth is flat or not. So it could stay in orbit for 5 weeks or several hundred years. We're
We
not
don't
sure
really
because
know
we don't
because
know anything.
it's probably not even going to space. So I'll go one step above that then. Put me in a giant sarcophagus, tie me to the side of a rocket, and then shoot me to the moon.
Yeah. Man, I saw a video and I want to get one of those high powered lasers. 'Cause I saw a video of people like pointing the laser at the moon and it looks fake, right? It looks like the moon's fake. And I'm like, well, I won't know until I do it. So I want to do it myself and then prove if it is real or not. You know?
I've actually been drawn down that like rabbit hole of the whole moon thing recently.
If it's real and we don't live in a fucking dome or whatever, it's a satellite.
Yeah, I have a lot of uh new thoughts. I think it might be interesting sometime to do a
I think we should
show
do a
about the
free
moon.
for all talk. Me and Juan talked a long time ago, and I kept it because a lot of Strange Juan's episodes are on the Patreon now. It is about like the idea is the moon a satellite. Now I like it's interesting because it would be we should just do a live special called the moon question mark. You know, it's like really what the fuck is it? Do we know? I don't think so. You know, is
It's
it
just
made of cheese?
I used to think that when I was a kid, and then I used to always get told about the man on the moon.
Yeah, I know.
If you
One of
look
them
close
mystical
enough at the
kids.
moon, it looks like
Oh
a
yeah, it's
face and shit.
yeah. That's it. Still looks like a face.
And I'm like, and then I was like, all right. I was like, is that where Bear in the Big Blue House stole that idea?
Yeah, and there's theories how the moon is a reflection as above so below as the Earth, and that if you match up the moon and the way they perceive the map, that there's extra land on Earth. That's like there's some weird, very weird theories.
Yeah,
Um,
I seen something earlier in the week. I can't remember. I'm gonna absolutely butcher this, but somebody had this like really detailed description of like so images of the moon from Earth and then
yeah,
supposed images of the Earth from the moon
yeah.
and how like nothing matches up at all or makes any sense.
Hmm.
I thought
Yeah.
it was quite fascinating.
There's some weird stuff going on, and I that's why I've always said like I don't know what to believe in. Speaking of cheese, we bought some Irish cheese that we liked, and I just thought about you the whole time. It has like the flag on it and shit, and it's just like it's white cheddar. But it's like Irish cheese, and I was like the whole time I was thinking about it, I was like eating your body, you know?
What
Cannibal.
can I send food to Canada?
I have no idea.
Now, obviously, I know like you're not going to send like fucking raw meat or anything like that, but
No.
stuff like that is it possible for me to send that to you?
I don't know. Cause I'm not gonna say this on here. No,
Or like
a
I
guy wanted
probably
to sell
can't
me some
sell
shit. But like
alcohol.
I don't necessarily know because it would be because I've debated on I have a PO address, so I was debating on like giving fans of the show my PO address because I've had people reach out to me and be like, oh, I want to send you this or that, and I was like, I don't think you can do that. And they're like, they're in the States, and like, no, it will go. Like we can do that. Like it was like something like not crazy. I think it might have been something like food or something like that, or like a. I know one lady wanted to send me like books on something. It's a long time ago, but there was a couple people that have sent me stuff about like, can I send you this or that? And I was like, do you guys have a mailing address? And I'm like, not yet.
A
I
few
think
years
that's
ago, I made the mistake of I started to get that request more and more about sending things to either taste or try or do, and I
yeah.
was like, this is probably dangerous. And a few times I was stupid enough to give out my actual address, and I was like, whoa,
Oh, you could get
this,
sent.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna get fucking murdered.
No, you like that. We have a PO address, luckily, so I could do that. Maybe it just send it to the post office, whatever. But still
Kill
strange.
the lady in the post office instead.
So fucked. So you could actually have your cremations made into a firework. True motto: it will be the moment of glory, and then suddenly you'll become brilliant, more brilliant than ever. With starting price of around 1,500 USD. I don't know what USD is, and I'm fucking too high to fucking.
Dollars, isn't it?
But is that
United States
States
dollars.
dollars? Oh, weird. That makes sense. That actually makes a lot of sense. I was like, US would be US currency. So it makes sense. Who the fuck else is doing fireworks though?
So
What are you talking
now
about?
I want to make me a mummy, strap me to a rocket,
Yeah.
shoot me to the moon, and then while that's all going on, you can take, because I have such a big horn, you can take half of my horn and turn it into a firework and shoot the fireworks off at the same time while I'm flying to the moon.
That image is fucked up. Just like you, like getting like poof out of some fucking cannon, but like you're in a sarcophagus flying through the fucking air towards the moon. But like in the dick of the sarcophagus is a bunch of Roman candles. So it's like boom, boom, boom as you're like flying towards the moon.
That's a pretty good description. That's kind of exactly what I was picturing.
Or you could be made into a tattoo.
That would be cool as well.
That Bruce Lee tattoo is hilarious.
I'd love to get something like that.
So funny. Fucking it's Bruce Lee, but then it connects to your fist like he's punching
It's
your
so
giant
fucking
fist. It's fucking sweet. So yeah, this is literally a real thing. Some tattoo artists will create memorable tattoos with ink made from cremated ashes of your loved ones. Nice.
Here's something I'm going to put out there, actually, now that I think of it. If anyone thinks this is a really funny, cool idea, what you can do is you can send me and Tom money, and then you can choose the tattoo that we get.
I have enough room. I know there's certain places
Now,
I want.
obviously, we don't. Neither of us are going to get like the big fucking Steve-O
No.
like back piece or anything. But if somebody wants to pick out a small tattoo and
100%.
send
And
us
this
the
is like
funds,
on to like if fans are hearing this like 10 years later. If people actually want to do this, your tattoo of choice, but we do get to pick where it goes on our body and how big is it big it is. Cuz I have a bunch of plans for what I want to do, but with the recession that we've never admitted. We're in the bigger more we're in worse off than we were in the depression technically due to the economy and how it's set up. Now, no, I'm not my grandfather working at 11 years old and barely having anything to eat. But due to the amount of money that is being made currently and all that shit and how the economy is set up, technically, we're in a very bad. I luckily get paid decent. Not everyone gets paid what I get paid, right? So, like, I'm sure that some people are really struggling. I'm glad I'm not one of those people, and I will, if I need to, man, I'll be like Tony Montana, you know?
well, actually, I think you're saying that from a place of middle class white privilege, Tom.
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes, I'm 100%.
You can't speak on that because you obviously don't live and work in the coal mines like the rest of us.
No, I don't live in the coal mines. I don't have blackface coming in a coal line. But no, I do work hard for my money, and I have lived A pretty
Nope.
rough life.
Nope. Not allowed to say any of that.
I
You
know
so
more
even though
poor
those are
people than I
facts,
know more poor black people. And maybe
nope.
it's because I associate more with white people. Just
Nope, doesn't
kidding.
matter. No, it doesn't matter that you've had any of these things or you've been alive for 32
It's so
years or you have a job
yeah,
or anything. You could just cancel out all of that
I know.
because it's not right.
It's so funny because most of my friends that I grew up with were like poor white dudes, like dudes that didn't have much. I was middle class to say the least, and definitely mediocre. And then I I made my life worse. I've always said this, right? That I was the one that created a lot of the turmoil that I had within my life, but also I was questioning my existence and a bunch of other shit. Why am I here? All this stuff. But like most of my friends, almost all my friends, except for one kid that I've joked about that had a pool in his house, and he would dress with like ripped jeans and ripped sweaters to look like us because we were all like just scraping by technically. Like if technically all my friends just scraping by, and these were just white people. My buddy, this is my one buddy that I would be jealous because I couldn't hang out there. His mom was a nurse and she worked the night shift, and she was raising her like two sons by herself and a daughter that was grown that would come into the house, and we would always razz her and shit. But like all my friends would go there because we're all like from poor environments or parents that were just like trying to scrape by, so like let their kids go run around the town, you know. And it's crazy because most people would be like, "You're like white privilege." Like, shut the fuck up, man. There's black privilege now. If you're anything but white, you have some sort of privilege because they'll
Yeah, that's
consider you
that's
that.
always my argument. And I know people are just gonna say, "Oh, you're only saying that because you're white," but like, I do feel like that, like in modern day now, it's like a crime to be like
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, 100%. And you see this, and there's black creators, right? People that have a darker skin color than me, because I say there's one race, the human race. I don't even give a shit, man. I have Jamaican family, man. I don't give a shit. Like this idea that like everyone is different, and I'm had two very strong beers of why I'm saying stuff like this because I'm like don't care, right? At this point in my life, I've done this podcast long enough. I've have enough of an influence online where I'm like, man, it is what it is. People need to realize that there's something beyond skin color. The fact that like you will be considered more in the States, and I'm sure Canada does this, but you will be considered more if you're a person of color than you will a white person. It's the same way these French elitist people, why I always shit on Quebec, is there's people suing certain like jobs or whatever in Quebec that if you don't speak affluent French, if your like main language isn't like French, you will lose your job or you'll get paid less than people that are French. And for all of the Canadians that know and Americans and everyone on the other world that don't know, nobody really likes Quebec. They want to do their own thing. And if you go there, they're the only place in Canada that's not bilingual. Everything is in French. And if you don't speak French, they treat you like you're a black guy in the 1940s in America. So
It's wild, and I feel like I'm gonna try and keep my thoughts to myself because this is probably a whole other episode.
yeah,
But
100%.
yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on a lot of that
100%.
stuff.
And we've this was meant to be like me and Aaron literally it's been 2 months since we've recorded. And Strange Brew is very much open. Right? The way we talk about stuff is very open, and that's the whole point of the show, right? Is to kind of be out there and to be our true selves. I'm not doing this for anyone else but myself. And then if people love and connect with that content that I'm doing, then good, share it. You know? Like I've only been here trying to just do something that's entertaining and fun and not be like everybody else and
Because
go down the
it's
same
for who
route.
it's for.
Yeah, and
That's the
you
thing.
guys know who you are, the hose heads, right? I joke because there is a cult. I'm just kidding, but it's like a following of this show, and now coming to your show and our shows are crossing over. Where I've noticed that recently, I'm getting more and more downloads from Ireland, so like there is this like bridge being connected, right? And even with the podcast that I do and stuff, and this was all meant to be fun, right? I've never claimed to be an intellectual podcast. Never claimed that shit. I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about, and I'm going to drink and get high like I would every day, you know?
That's the fun of it.
Is the
That's the
point.
fun of it, though. That's the thing. Like, it's something. Sometimes I think people take shit like a little bit too seriously. And I know, look, we've talked about a lot of serious topics over the last year or
100%.
two or whatever, but
Yeah.
like, there is a degree of it that's like, everything doesn't have to be a problem.
I have to laugh. We've talked about like some serious shit, and I have to try. Like even Billy always brings up the Chris Watts episode, which one of the darkest episodes we've done, next to the Highway of Tears, which is the indigenous people going missing and stuff like that. But like even then, I tried to kid. I'm sure if people listen to it, I'm like, whoa. I don't even remember what the fuck I said, but I probably tried to kid around a bit because, like, even in those dark situations, I have to try to make light of it. That's how my psyche works, and I'm pretty sure everyone that listens to this and even more people out there think the same thing. And they always try to hide. Everyone's trying to like appease people that they don't even know.
Yeah, just do your own fucking thing. Be interested in what you're interested in, and
So we know what Aaron wants to do when he dies. Okay, so let's cover this. Aaron wants to be mummified, put in a sarcophagus, launched into the moon, but as he's going towards the moon, he wants to have a bunch of Roman candles shooting from his penis. It's hard.
That's pretty much it.
It's hard to beat.
That's pretty much it. I know it's going to cost me a lot of money, but I feel like that's a pretty good way to go. And I picture as well, kind of like what you said, I don't want to be shot into space in a rocket. I'm kind of picturing more like a Johnny Knoxville, like circus cannon. Yeah, like Evil Knievel, kind of like.
Yeah. That's what I pictured too. I definitely pictured that. The fucking me waving goodbye as your fucking sarcophagus gets launched out of this fucking huge.
You're like, what's his name? And he's on that little fucking boat.
Chris Pontius. Oh, Rip Taylor.
And he's like, fucking shaking all the shit.
Honestly, it is weird because like this has been kind of a rant stop episode, which I've named them now off topic or off the rails. I have two options or whatever because we did that Urban Legends episode. I think you saw clips of it where it's like, it was just the first time Brett and Sawyer and Billy and all of us came together and stuff like that. And we just had fun. And I had this like very complex like Urban Legends tales, but it just kept going off the rails. It literally just kept going off because I couldn't help it. There's four of us. Fucking Billy's like loving like Sawyer's joking about shit. It's just so hard to contain. So that's why it becomes these kind of fun shows that I think that people are used to and enjoy actually. But like I've recently, one of my go-to films are Jackass, and I have them bought on YouTube. So wherever we go, I can watch them. So the one night on the honeymoon, I was drunk, and I was like, and we had that projector on this like side of the wall or whatever. Yeah. And I was like, man, we're just watching some Jackass shit, and it was fucking fun.
It's so good. I watched them a while back, maybe about a year ago. I watched all of them, and I like just forgot how funny some of the shit is.
I was laughing about this earlier because I'm laughing. I was like, so I'd have a bunch of people beat my body to a pulp.
Oh shit!
But listen, I want it to be kids. I want it specifically to be a bunch of like children in like a village, like laughing their asses off, like the best enjoyment they've had because they live in like a village.
You're like some fucking like pinata.
That's my entire plan. Yeah, when you smack me, candy does pop. You stuff my mouth full of candy, right? I'm like, this is all coming off the top of my head. So I stuff my mouth full of fucking candy, and then they beat me to a living pulp, and then when I spew out candy, right?
And like then, blood and piss and shit and all over.
Yeah, and then but you have to string me up first too, and like you specifically have to hit my stomach, because I'm kind of tubby. You gotta like fucking get that shit down to Billy's side.
Have the kids with fucking blindfolds and they're just bashing the shit out of your body.
Yeah, and then they string me up, and then just hang me there for like a week or so. Just like have everyone look at me and stuff like that, and then you strap me to like a donkey, and then just ride me out into the desert. And then just have a bunch of vultures pick apart my flesh. But then R2-D2 and C-3PO find me there. And then they drag me to that thing that Luke Skywalker goes to in Return of the Jedi.
Oh, that fucking like pit or whatever?
Yeah, shoot where it opens up and he's like, the pig people. Those pig dudes are. And then they eat my bones and that's how I'll die.
I could just imagine. I'm actually visioning like some kind of like desert area and there's like like maybe some grass or tumbleweed and shit, and then just over the horizon you can just see R2-D2 and C-3PO
just so slowly.
just walking towards you. And I also wonder how much of your body would be left after it was beaten to a pulp and left hanging for a week
Yeah, I'd look like that
and
dude from
dragged behind a
Beetlejuice.
donkey.
You know that dude from Beetlejuice where he's hanging on the rope and he's like been smushed by the tire? That's how it looked like, but a little worse.
Actually, do you know what else would probably really like if they were able to perform some sort of shrunken head thing on me? So leave me with
Yeah,
my normal sized body, but give me that tiny head like the dude
yeah.
in Beetlejuice, and then have me like taxidermy, just like put me in in an armchair in the sitting room, so like all
Yeah.
the grandkids can look at me, and I have this tiny little shrunken head, but the normal sized body.
Dude, that is actually what was one of my ideas, and I've said this to Chelsea for sure. I've joked about it when we were watching like Bates Motel or whatever. I was like, man, just fucking stuff me. So you know, how funny that'd
Yeah,
be if you were able to do that because it should be. I don't give a shit. Freedom of expression in every way, other than what goes too far. But if I agreed with my kids and stuff like that, and I was like, I want to be I want to be a doll. I want to be a mannequin. And they agreed, and I agreed that freedom, man. That's what freedom's supposed to be about. You know, if they want to do that, and then if you bring people over, that's your choice. You know, and they don't like it, then that's your choice.
be like the grandpa in Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Have you played the game yet?
No,
You have to like feed grandpa blood. I haven't played as much as I should have by
there's
now.
a couple of things, and this is something that we probably need to talk about, not on an episode or whatever. But there's a couple of things that I want to pick up, but I only want to pick up stuff that maybe we can play
Yes.
online.
There is a open thing, I'm sure, for the fans of my show and your show where we should do an episode about horror games. Because I've specifically spent time doing that the last 2 years. That is the stuff on Patreon. The at dead of night game where you get chased in a hotel is the most
Hmm.
frightening. I smashed my face into a fucking
There's
microphone.
a new game I see everybody talking about. You have to. It's only a short game, I think.
Yeah.
It's like 18 minutes. But if you make any noise, you die.
Oh, I'm not good at that. I
So
love
like
talking through my stream.
it records like you. So like if you whimper, scream, shout, or anything like that, something like that. I remember
There is
seeing
a
that on
game like
TikTok.
that where it's kind of like Quiet Place or whatever. It's a game where you're like, I think in kind of like a snowy area. I tried it like once, and if you're the killer thing, you're like blind, but you can pick up on things if people talk on mics. And I tried playing it. It's fine because no one was on the server, so
Just couldn't hear anything.
I couldn't play it because there's no one on the server. But the premise of the game looked cool and was smart. And my brother was like, "You should stream this and shit." And I tried, and I was like, "Man, I'm just gonna talk this whole time." I get scared like in with games with this big monitor in front of me. That Dead of Night game. For everyone that knows, I smashed my face into a fucking microphone because I was so scared of this guy appearing out of nowhere. You want to play a game to stream? That one is the fucking it, man. So scary. All right. Well, we went an hour longer than we thought we were going to, at least for this. And, you know, this is what happens. 2 months go by, right? We're best friends across the world. And this is going to be an ongoing thing where Aaron's going to disappear and then not tell me about it. I'm just
No.
kidding.
No.
We're back to the grind. We have plenty ideas. I'm so, like, every time we talk, for all the fans of that, like, I have like a million things I've already thought about. With Billy, I'm like, okay, what do I need to do with Billy? Okay, what would be funny to hear Billy talk about? And that's like easy, right? Because I'm like, okay, this
Hmm.
has to be him, has to, because his thought would be interesting or funny or whatever, right? And that's why there's certain episodes I want all three of us to finally put together and do. But there's certain ones where I'm like, I want to hear your thoughts, or we have to do this. So we've been planning a bunch of stuff on both sides of the world, and I'm so excited, man. I can't stop thinking of ideas.
I feel like sometimes I'm like, do I have like fucking autism or something, or am I like on the spectrum? Because like I get all of these ideas, and like I have so many like lists and notes and notebooks and like pieces of paper and like notes in my phone.
Yeah,
And I'm like, I really should like try and condense these down into something where like I can actually attempt to action them
yeah.
instead of
No,
just like being like sporadic. Like,
it's so funny because we think the exact same thing. I have a list of over 100 episodes, more than that I want to do, right? But guess what? I always find something else that I end up writing out before this list
yeah,
of fucking episodes that I have. Me and Aaron have a list of stuff we want to do for both of our shows, at least with us. And I don't think we've even touched a bit of it.
Nope, I'm looking at it right now. So just before we finish the episode, so for
Yeah.
commentaries, we have Blair Witch 2,
Yeah, not happened yet.
The Craft, Hellraiser 3,
Oh, yeah.
August Underground, Chernobyl Diaries,
I love The Craft. I
The
watched that on set.
Burning, Slashers from 2001,
Yeah.
Stitches,
Oh,
Shrooms.
yeah, that clown shit. I haven't seen that either.
Then for
We had
reviews,
Shrooms
we
on there.
have
See, it's on there.
for reviews we have the new Hellraiser, Tusk,
Oh, that movie's so good.
Dark Skies.
Dark Skies is amazing. God damn it, we gotta get on this shit, man.
I know,
Dark
right?
Skies is so fucking good, dude. And this is for
Episode
like
ID
class
is
horrorcast, so everyone go check out that shit.
Episode ID is best kill scenes, best
Yeah.
unmade sequels, creepiest movie scenes, best horror movie locations, worst
Yeah,
horror movies of all time, most underrated, most overrated. Then for
Oh, that's
Strange
so good.
Brew, I have a shit ton. John Lang, that gang
No,
stalking thing. I swear to God,
told you
there's
that's up to you.
yeah,
It's
I
up
need to write
you
that out
fucking
properly.
do that.
James Bulger's Murder, 9/11
Oh, yeah.
Conspiracies, Texas Killing Fields,
Oh yeah. That's really
Allison Mack,
Oh,
the Red
yeah.
Dragon book, Wolf Messing.
Allison Mack is the Nexium cult, isn't it?
What else do we have? McCamey Manor,
Yeah,
the
no,
Finders
that needs to
Cult,
be done.
Staten Island Disappearances, Backyard Wrestling Watch-alongs,
That one has to be done.
the New Jack stabbing incident, that fucking wrestler that's like basically nearly murdered the dude in the ring.
Dude, we need to start doing this, especially some of the ones that are for your show that are easy to do. The best
I know, yeah.
location shit, I can think of that shit right now. Give me a beer or two, I'd be like, oh, the best horror movie locations. A fucking desert. There's like nothing
That's what we
out
need
there.
I need to start pulling that together and I'll start. We'll get the images and stuff and start getting them loaded in.
100%. There's so much stuff. That's why I want the fans to know that like this motivates me. You know, like recording with you always like gets my blood going. I don't know, because we're like the same. I feel like I can read your thoughts sometimes about certain stuff I want to do or whatever, right?
Mhm.
Billy, I'm like, I look at him and I don't know what the fuck's going on in his mind.
Every time I look at him, or every time you mention him, I just picture him when you done him up as the fucking clown.
I know. Well, no, it was the funniest shit was I was doing my makeup. You saw the story where he came up behind me in the Slenderman outfit, and I was like, he's like, it shows like everything. Like he's just like, it's like sucked. It's like seeing Billy naked without like the details. So like
Scary.
he stood over me in the YouTube clip for like the, what's it called? The stupid tag. What's that called? Screen. What kind of
Thumbnail.
thumbnails. I was like tag, whatever. And he stood over and you could see like, you could kind of see some shit in his crotch area. So I had to put the logo over it.
Nice.
I was like, great, yeah, because it's like he came behind us, so you look like a fucking Power Ranger. So far, everything we've done for the Halloween specials has been very funny. That's why next year, you actually have to be there.
I know, yeah. I died on the first one.
Come over there, man.
Then weren't there on this one.
I know. It's disappointing.
We'll make up
You
for
were
it with
there
the
in the
Christmas
live
special.
special, but that was like 3 hours you showed up to get completely blastered. It's between plastered and blasted, so...
That was like... Oof.
It's on the Patreon. I deplore people. We cut it before it got too crazy. But you were coherent. And like I said, when I edited it was the last 45 minutes that you became like, and I've done that on the show. The Leprechaun episode, the St. Patty's Day live special we did, it was the last 10 minutes. All of a sudden all of it hit me and I was like, I couldn't even think, man. Gone.
I was like...
To the zoo.
That was absolutely fucking...
I rewatched some of it and I was like audibly laughing. Like Chelsea's like, what are you laughing at? I'm like, you want to know? I was like,
just that slow descent.
Yeah, it
into
was
madness.
Just fucked, man. And because I was also high in my like Batman makeup and shit. Some of the shit that was going on with that, like, just was killing me.
It was just fucking...
It's my alarm.
Oh, Tom, wake up.
Yeah, wake up from your dream. To end this, bring this to an end. So recently I've been listening to David Wilcock's book. Always take him with a grain of salt. I've read all of his books. So this is the last one that I'm actually going to listen to. He's the guy from Ancient Aliens that claims that he's like Edgar Casey. He's a weird looking fellow. He says a lot of weird shit, and I don't know if it's true or not. But also at the same time, I'm reading David Icke's book, Children of the Matrix, while reading a Howard Zinn book, while listening to Howard Zinn on the way home from work. So I'm trying to consume myself those knowledge, and then
So
I
you're
just got
getting gangbanged by knowledge.
100. That's what I'm trying to do. And then I just got I got very cheap the Manly P Hall book, The Secrets of All Ages or whatever. Juan loves Manly P Hall, and I realized how thick that shit was. It's huge. And he's like, yeah, it's like an encyclopedia of the occult, and I'm like, way bigger than I thought it was. So like I just like I'm trying to buy as many books that I know that I want in my collection before all of a sudden Canada's like, you can't own anything. Not even
Yeah,
books.
North Korea.
You know. So
North Korea.
so I'm trying. Yeah, they're looking towards China, North Korea, and Gaza
You'll be
Strip
going to
to
like
see it.
fucking. You'll be going into bookstores and stuff, and it'll be just like NPC fucking
Yeah.
customers and like
Dun,
fake
dun.
books and shit.
Yeah, I'll like
I
touch
was
the guy
looking
and
at
I'll
it.
fall through him because he's like
There
an
was
old man.
some dude, I can't remember. He must have like a YouTube channel or some shit or some presence online, but I had seen a clip on TikTok. Someone like reposted it or something,
Yeah, yeah,
and he was in some sort of a car dealership in North Korea.
yeah.
And like he was filming it, and it was the most bizarre looking thing. He's talking like as he's doing it. He's like, yeah, so I'm here looking at these cars and whatever. I'm like pretending that I'm interested. And he was like, nobody in here is a customer, I don't think. I think the company have hired these people to walk around the showroom to act
Yeah.
as if like they're interested in the cars. And like he says something. There's a guy like looking at one of them, and he's like, "Oh yeah, it's a nice car. Whatever you interested." And the dude like turns and like I wouldn't say runs away, but like kind of scurries away. And he's like, "Oh, weird." He was like, "This is such a bizarre." He was like, "Nobody's come near me to ask me about anything. Nobody's like, it's like everyone's just like going around
That's
like it's a
fucking
show."
scary. I couldn't imagine what it's like in like places like China and like people think that the people that understand the history on both sides of what's going on with the current war that has been around as long as I've been alive is it's kind of crazy because Gaza Strip was people claim it's like the setup for the first 15-minute city, the idea of it, because it is constantly surveilled. They're constantly at the borders. There's checkpoints, so you can't pass certain checkpoints for this reason or that reason. And then if you know, like, because I saw this way before, I knew about this stuff a long time ago, just because of the rappers I was listening to. Right, Ill Bill's Jewish, Necro's Jewish. They talked about it. Vinny Paz is Muslim. He talks about it. Um, you know, and it is kind of crazy because they have mass surveillance and they have to go through checkpoints, and it's like a 15-minute city of what the idea of what they want to bring about, right? It's always so hard for me not to talk about this stuff because I see it everywhere, man. I see all these people outraged about this or that, but then it's like it's very weird that people will get outraged about stuff in another country about what's happening, but then when people were coerced into taking some sort of medical experiment, they're like, "No, it's good for everybody. Go do it." And they're like, and then people that didn't want to, I was looked at to me, whatever you want to talk about, like segregation of people to end this on, like whatever. I was looked at like a Jew in the 1940s of like what people thought about me because I didn't want to take it. You know?
Well, I think what happens there is because I thought about that a lot. Why does that happen? Like it's the same here in Ireland. Like we have all these opinions about like I the news was on in the background earlier before we started recording.
Yeah.
When I was down getting a drink, and I'm like just listening to all this shit about the Gaza Strip and like what all these Irish correspondents think and English correspondents. And I'm like, it's really funny. Like we're talking about all this shit about like what they should and shouldn't do, and it should be this and it should be that, and we're so worried about what's going on over there. And there's one Irish person or something that was held hostage out of
Yeah.
millions of people, and it's like a big travesty. And oh my god, we should like blow up the whole world. And then it's like all this shit that's going on in our own country, and everyone's like, no, well, clearly, like our government wouldn't tell us the wrong thing, or no, we
Crazy.
we live in Ireland or we live in America, so we're not
We've
those
been
countries.
told we live in a democracy. That's
And
why I
it's just
laugh about
like
this shit.
so our every news bulletin is revolving around the Gaza Strip and what's going on
Yeah.
there. And it's like
Distraction.
the like 5 seconds at the end of like the news bulletin is like, oh yeah, by the way, the Minister for Transport and the Minister for Tourism and the Garda Commissioner, which is like the police
Yeah,
commissioner,
the
and all these
police. Yeah.
people have signed off on all these things to have self-deportation. So we don't deport people in Ireland. So illegal immigrants don't get deported by force. They're served a notice to self-deport, and then there is no exit checks to find out if these people have actually left the country.
You know what's crazy? Every country is falling in lockstep with that. The United States starting to do that under Biden's administration, so is Canada, and it is crazy because people are not aware of that this is being used for a distraction, 100%. And it always bothers me because I'm always like, man, you didn't stand up for, where were all you people that were like free Gaza and, free Palestine? Because like, if I was going to sway more to one way or the other, it's going to be because Gaza's been bombed more than any other place. There's the most, place, there's the most people in a designated area, whatever. And it's crazy because I released one of my songs on Spotify and like YouTube Music or whatever, try to release my old songs, and it uses an atmosphere beat, which I'm trying to grab a copyright thing, but I posted a long time ago, and I said something about like all the deaths in Gaza as the Western world just sits back in laughter, like and it's just so weird because I wrote that shit when I was like 20, dude. Like I was 20, like 10 years ago, 11 years ago, I was talking about this stuff. And like I said, Iraq left in disaster, and all the deaths in Gaza as the Western world just sits back in laughter. Like it's something like that. And it's just interesting because I was like very young and knew about this stuff. And like there was deaths on either side, right? But I'm always like, who's orchestrating that though? Who funded Hamas? Right? Like, where's all this money come from? These weapons and shit, right? That's why I love talking about this shit.
And that's the wild part about it. And like we could probably do a whole episode on
Yeah,
this separate from this, but
yeah,
like, it's like the same um the same places that are funding like weaponry and all this shit are then like the same people who are going in and like spending billions to like rebuild
yeah.
and stuff.
BlackRock and fucking Raytheon and stuff.
And it's just like, huh. Does
It's
nobody like
very
look at any of
weird,
this?
dude.
And like I'm right, and I'm a fucking like I don't ever claim to be like an intellectual or anything. I'm a
Yeah,
dumbass. But if my dumbass sitting in a fucking attic in
yeah,
in the southeast of Ireland can see that, and I try not to consume news as much as possible because it's just like number one, to me, it sounds more unbelievable than watching fucking Freddy Krueger kill
yeah, yeah,
Nancy.
yeah, yeah.
And number two, I just can't suffer it. It just makes me miserable. Like I'll obviously have an idea of what's going on in the world, but I try not to look at like the fucking, the CNN version and
I
the N
never watch news, dude. But one thing
all
I got
that
sucked
shit.
into, I told you, as I listened to a lot of Tim Pool, right?
Yeah.
And then this happened, and then he swayed to one way instantly on the side of Israel, and then he started getting swayed to the other side, and then he realized because I commented, I was like, man, I commented on his post, I was like, dude, you're being a fucking massive hypocrite in the way that you're speaking about the deaths of people and being for like, oh, Israel has the right to defend themselves and stuff like that. So then does that mean that Ukraine had the right to defend themselves against Russia? If you're thinking in that ideology and stuff like that, you guys are like you're playing the same hand in the same puppet hand. You're feeding into that hand of that slave master that you're claiming to not want to be oppressed by. And I was like, man, these people are such hypocrites, all of them. So I stopped like listening, and now that's why I told you I started to listen to books and old talks of Howard Zinn talk about history because I truly believe he understood the real history of what was going on, and he didn't play favorites and looked at it subjectively from the outside. It's fascinating to me. And that's why some of my videos have blown up of me posting him talk about shit. But I just wanted to say to like kind of, and this is I stopped listening. I'll listen to Tim Pool if I am at work and I'm do a specific job that I can listen to the speaker for like an hour of podcasting and kind of do the same thing for an hour. It's only like once or twice a week, and so I'll put that up and do that. But mostly now, if I can, like David Icke just came out with his podcast on London Real, his latest one, 3 hours. and he's banned from 27 countries now, which is so crazy from speaking at least. And I'll listen to that stuff because, like, I'd rather listen to David Icke or even David Wilcock or even Alex Jones talk over some of these political commentary people.
Yeah.
Even Alex Jones is selling himself out a little bit, in my opinion, but they're
Yeah,
all
it's
the extension of the same arm.
I find that I fluctuate between sometimes who I listen to. Like there'll be people I listen to religiously, and then like a certain topic or something will come up, and I'll be like, huh, and
You
then
know
it
what I've
kind
been
of like
liking too?
puts me off.
Owen Benjamin, dude.
Yeah,
He said he's that comedian, man.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was into one thing he said, like I think Rumble, and he's talking about the idea of oil and dinosaurs, and I was like, I don't know, man. I think that I've always thought that like it's funny because I hear people talking about this now is that like oil is like the blood of Mother Nature, Mother Earth, or whatever, right? And I said that when I was like 18. I was like, they probably have enough oil to like, and they're lying to us about how much oil they have. Like I've always said they probably have hundreds of years of oil in their reserves. When I was like a teenager, I thought about this shit. And the fact that people now are just being like, no, and they say some shit, I'm like, man, I had that thought when I was a kid, dude. I was like, now you're starting to get it. It's weird because I now see people like starting to turn on those light bulbs. And I said to Billy, it's weird because we went on this tangent. I'll probably call this an off the rails or off the topic episode because it really was. But it was fun. I've enjoyed myself. But like the idea of, and I'm sure the fans have too, but the idea of like, I've had these thoughts when I was a kid, and then to see all these people waking up is cool. Is weird to me, in my opinion, because I said to Billy in one episode, I was like, I guarantee there was people that me and you both know that were like, Tom was crazy, and now like years later they'd be like, remember that Tom guy? He said some crazy shit, but now it's coming true, and I guarantee there's people out there that are being like,
Yeah, or like you get that thing where it's like, oh yeah, man, I always agreed, I always knew you were right.
Yeah, did you though? You called me crazy.
Fuck off.
I know. It's crazy. I'm starting to write different songs. I still have to write through. I want to do a song for Class Horrorcast. I'm so excited. I have it, the basis of how I want to go.
Oh, my doorbell.
Who's there?
Strange. Somebody's at the doorbell.
Are you alone?
Am I getting broken into or some shit?
Okay, well, maybe we should end this. All right, well, this went way longer than we thought. We just wanted to have like a nice hour and a half, chop it up about strange funerals. But I think it was merited since you've been gone for so long, but the fans won't notice as much as I have. My heart will go on.
And especially on my side, people really know.
I know. But we have a lot of stuff in the works right now. And, make sure to subscribe to my music. Honestly, I really am pushing that for people to go check it out on Spotify and YouTube Music. It will just make me feel my heart warm if I could look up, in a year and I've had thousands of listens because I've produced music since I was very young. So I finally decided to put it out there for free and all that shit. Like I don't expect anything back from people. I just want them to listen. And I put out a new song called The Great Resist, and it's probably one of the favorite things I've ever recorded. Just because it's very much like an anthem of like fight against this shit. So go check that out, and obviously a 5-star rate and review, and buy merch, man. I'm sure more people out there, man, get that logo. I was gonna buy I really want.
Tom's gonna get that logo tattooed on him.
I am. That is my plan, actually. I actually want to do a tattoo of the original logo, like somewhere on my body, where what we just started with, like ripping off Strange Brew and just having like a bottle top, like a beer top with a can opener, and then I added other stuff that I just like edited.
I really want that logo on that t-shirt in the tattoo form.
So do I. I want to get it, the logo of the podcast, right? Like that will probably be forever now. I want it as like a sticker. I want someone who can do like that sticker tattoo that looks like a sticker. I'm definitely getting it. And you should too, because you're part of this now.
I don't know, but I love that artwork.
I'm making Billy get it, but I'm also making Billy get Strange Brew on his eyelids. So when he like winks at somebody, he's like, Strange Brew. And then he smiles and it says Podcasted Grills.
Put podcast in there. Too.
Yeah, I like this. And he's like those weird chicks. That's like, I love cock. And then they like pull down their lip.
I was literally going to say that. It's
funny because like, if I was single, I wouldn't know. If she was good looking and hot, and I'm like, she's probably been rammed through, but I'd be like, it'd be hard to be like a Euro Trip movie. It'd be hard to be like, no.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. I would have no way. Like, I would just be like, yeah, that's fine.
That's fine. I've got to read it tomorrow. So shout out your shit because we have a lot of stuff coming. We really do.
Yeah, Class Horrorcast, First Class Horror on Instagram, and then Class Horrorcast anywhere you listen to podcasts. I'm not going to say too much else because I feel like every time I do that, I jinx myself.
Yes.
But from now on, we are going to be super consistent. Well, I am. Tom is always on my ass about that stuff, and
Yes.
yeah, we're going to have a shit ton of episodes. We're going to record weekly, every week without fail, and we're actually going to try and do some live shows as well. I feel like live shows might
Yes.
help us greatly, and to be able to interact with people like in that live format.
100%. Because I don't think Twitch is doing it. This is raw cuts, and there's always one or two people watching all the time. But I feel like some of the stuff we talk about, Twitch is not like. I'm sure. But we just do it for pre-recording. But I have ideas to do specific episodes for Rumble, where like maybe it can go to the main platforms of audio, but there's definitely some topics that video form will not last on YouTube, and I'm not going to risk it to begin with. So there's definitely episodes that are coming that if you watch our stuff on YouTube, I'm looking at you guys, give me a like and write a comment because I see so many more people viewing it than actually pressing that fucking thumbs up button.
Yep.
And that's not cool because anything I watch, I usually click, So make sure you do that and leave a rate and review. We're getting Strange Brew Podcast is in the top 3% of all podcasts in the world. And that is just a basic idea. We could be 2% or 1%, but that's just the basic of what I've taken from some of the platforms I've looked at. Pretty cool. Yes, there's millions of podcasts, but we're up top 3. Pretty crazy.
It's just fucking wild.
I know. We need that top 0.5 or 1%. That's impressive because there is so many podcasts and so many people doing it, but we're getting better and better all the time. So I love everybody. And if you stuck it through this long, which I'm sure you guys did, because why wouldn't you? We're just having fun, yapping our lips, chopping it up. But I have 1,001 ideas for the whole show and for stuff with us and Billy and everything. So stay tuned. Fookers.